Good afternoon. Welcome back to The Siege, or good morning, good evening. Come. How you all doing, folks? I hope you had a fantastic night, evening, the whole shebang, and you're ready because today is another day of lots of Gamescom. And give me just a second here. I am an absolute professional. Give me just 1 second here. I tell you, man, other streamers would be as professional as me. I would do better. How are you doing, folks? I hope you are doing great. I do. Exciting, exciting. We have tons of stuff, actually. Gamescom is happening, if you don't know how. And yeah, tons of trailers to go through, tons of things to see. But even more importantly, today is the Warhammer 40K Total War Alpha Strike showcase for Gamescom. And not only that, just about 3 hours ago, the NDA lifted on Warhammer 40K Total War and people who were able to play it last week. And I am happy to announce that I was not one of them. No, I was not invited. Um, they took the top dogs. That's how the spiral goes. First, the really important things are going to the important people, and then it spirals down, and then at some point down there, way down there, it's me. Yeah, but I'm actually hyped about this. I don't care. Like, oh no, I have not been chosen. Oh no, what am I doing? Well, I'm reacting to all the stuff which was actually chosen, and we have a little bit of a look at them, which I'm actually really hyped for. So, don't care. Like, would I have loved to play it myself? Yes. Yes. But I have learned a long time ago to work with what I got. Right. And yeah, so that's cool. Lots of stuff, as I said. Um, I wanna. I'm still thinking about, by the way, how we are doing this. We would definitely watch a lot of Gamescom trailers before the Alpha Strike is happening, and I'm wondering if we should watch the Warhammer stuff afterwards, because as far as I know, that's basically what they are also showcasing in the Alpha Strike. And I kind of feel like if I am now watching those previews basically before the Alpha Strike is happening, I would just sit here most of the time and go like, "Oh yeah, we have already seen that in the previews." And I don't really want that. So I'm actually I'm thinking about um I'm thinking about maybe watching the videos after the Alpha Strike. Oh, we will see. We will see how much time we have left because it's still like over an hour. If you're like, well, then finally watch the Alpha Strike. Do it. Well, yes, but also no, because the Alpha Strike is not live yet. It's going live in about an hour, as far as I know. So let me see. Uh, that should be in an hour and 50 minutes. Yes, it is in 72 minutes. Yup. Also, thank you, YouTube, for featuring me to myself. That I should probably watch this reaction stream while the Alpha Strike is happening. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. I would definitely go watch my own stream if you don't mind. Yeah. I never understand that. Oh well. But it has been already confirmed that they are not showing just battles. They're basically showing everything besides battle, or well, on top of battles. So customization will be there. We have already gotten some infos on that, and yeah, there's tons of stuff to discuss. But we will do this when we are getting closer. Before we're jumping into the Warhammer 40K segment, though, we have a lot of other Gamescom trailers. Like, I'm still, man, can I just say, I am still flabbergasted by the Lego game. I did not expect the City Skylines Lego edition. Like, what? That's so crazy. And I kind of hope for more information on it, so I was running around, and unfortunately, no. No. No information there. But I did saw, and this is really interesting, I did saw, and I will probably make a video about it for tomorrow. I did saw a lot of people being confused. I saw a lot of people being kind of confused with um with the Lego thing, because they saw that um sorry, I just saw something. What was I? Oh yeah, they saw that they're working on the new City Skylines game, right? And people were immediately like, "What the hell? City Skylines 2 is not even fixed yet, and you're doing this because it's the same developer." Which is like, yeah, you have heard about two teams. Like, you do know that there are two teams working on this, right? You are aware of that? No. Okay, cool. But more important, so as far as we know, first of all, the team who worked on City Skylines 2, which is Colossal Order, moved on. The creators of City Skylines are gone. They sold the IP to Paradox. They are done, right? And the new creators who took over, which is what is it? Ice Flake? It's Ice Flake, right? Yeah. Um, they took over, and they actually do a pretty good job on fixing City Skylines 2. But more importantly, as far as we know, that Lego game was apparently the thing they kinda worked on. You know? And that was also the reason why um they are now like taking over City Skylines 2. Like, that was apparently one of the reasons. So good for them, I guess. But yeah, I see some people being confused, and a lot of people being like, Oh yeah, let's also watch that. I'm going through the. By the way, I'm going um through the videos right now. If you're like, what takes us so long? Well, I'm going through the videos. I'm trying to be quick about it. But yeah, so unfortunately, City Skylines, Lego Skylines, we don't really have more information on that yet. Now I am happy about the announcement of Path of Exile 1.0 that is still coming out this year. Super hyped for that. Looks great. Ooh, quick note. You might remember Heroes of Might and Magic 3, the remake, which I'm still not 100% on board with. Like the more I'm seeing of this trailer, the longer I look at it, the more I'm like, right? Like, do I gameplay wise, do I care? Like, it looks all right, but I don't know. I'm happy with Olden Era, and I'm happy with the direction Olden Era did take aesthetic wise. So I'm looking at this and go, yeah, all right. Looks like Heroes 3, I guess. Because here's the thing, the remaster does exist, and the remaster is great, right? And so I'm like, but do I need this? I don't know. Oh, speaking of which, oh Ubisoft, oh Ubisoft. So apparently, Heroes of Might and Magic 3 also ended up on the Steam stem. No, not the remake, the standard third game. And they forgot the game. Ah, I can't believe this. It just hurts at this point. Let me see. Did they fix it by now? Let me see. I think they fixed it by now. Oh yeah, they fixed it now. They have now fixed it a few hours ago. Wow. I know it doesn't necessarily matter too much. Well, that is just hilarious. That is just hilarious. Like they couldn't even take a minute to check if they actually uploaded the game to Steam and just said, "Hey, like here's the game which we kind of released like 30 years ago, or somebody released 30 years ago, and we're now bringing it to Steam, the non-remastered version, mind you. The old, a bit buggy, outdated version of the game. But anyways, we forgot the game. Like, man, Ubisoft. Man, Ubisoft. Oh, speaking of which, now that everyone is distracted with Gamescom, Rockstar was going to social media and was putting basically out a PR blurb regarding the GTA 6 leaks. And they're basically saying that, yeah, developers are heartbroken. Oh, this is also horrible. Yada, 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 yada. And I'm like, you know what? I do feel for the devs. I certainly do. But knowing how you were treating your developers and the other shit you are pulling, which wouldn't fly if you wouldn't be GTA. My level of, oh no, that's so heartfelt. I feel you, Rockstar. It's just like, eh. But basically, they took the moment again to remind everyone that they have something really nice coming for all of you, and that is the exclusive Netflix first look on GTA 6 gameplay. I'm like, wow. You took an announcement to start with, yeah, this really, really sucks, and we just wanted to talk about this for a moment. By the way, have you checked out our super exclusive deal with Netflix where you have to pay extra to just watch the trailer earlier, yada, yada, yada? And I'm like, see, that's why the first part just doesn't hit. It doesn't hit, Rockstar. I'm sorry. Yep. All right. Let's watch some trailers. Oh, this is the first preview of Metro. Let's have a look. I'm looking forward to this. I love Metro.
I've spent about 3 to 4 hours with Metro 2039 so far, and it's already healing me, even as the in-game version of me, dubbed the Stranger in this sequel, struggles to breathe through a gas mask whose filters don't last long, thus requiring me to craft new ones from items scrounged by scouring every last inch of its post-apocalyptic world as the countdown timer on my wristwatch constantly ticks down, threatening to choke me to death if it hits 000.
Not immediately, but
in a real world where AI is being shoved down our throats at every corner, from our emails to the customer service reps we interact with, one of my biggest takeaways from Metro 2039 is that even though it's an apocalypse-ravaged hellscape, every inch of it is very obviously and very painstakingly handcrafted. And I love that. This franchise always was like this, of course. This is nothing new. But still, there's just something about the way 2039
do I
expect
anything crazy new from Metro?
It is a game that neither offers nor tolerates any bullshit. And I love it for that, because said bullshit surrounds us in the real world.
Why am I telling you this? My God, you don't even realize what's happening.
Metro does not hold your hand. It regularly keeps your blood pressure somewhere between slightly elevated and spiked, and it makes no apologies for it.
What the hell are you? You are new.
Its irradiated world is hell, and it very convincingly conveys that at all times. And in an age where single-player first-person shooters are slowly going extinct because they only make money for their publisher once, while multiplayer live service shooters vie for our time and attention on a daily basis, and by the way, often contain lots of bullshit, like microtransactions and or drawn-out gameplay loops, Metro's single-player only craftsmanship and attention to detail after my first few hours with it have me already prepared to call it my favorite first-person shooter in a long time. If you've played Metro before, you'll certainly be right at home, but even if you're new to this series, it's easy enough to get up to speed with. In short, everything is lethal, from the mutated monstrosities on the surface, to rival survivors who've laid claim to the places you need to get through, to the very air you breathe. You are almost never, ever safe in Metro 2039. The one place you can't get killed is where my preview build started out, in the Sevastopolskaya metro station, which is filled with NPCs and shopkeepers.
No, Sevastopol.
It feels very
Okay.
alive. A very stark contrast.
So we're going back to that.
180
Cool.
As soon as you grab your backpack and gun and exit the metro and head to the very dead surface. There, you are completely and utterly
So it seems that we are
alone.
doing more
Not
surface
literally, as
gameplay
there are
again.
Mutated freaks abound, from giant man-eating rats
Which is
to
good.
jumpy
I-
beasts that like to keep their distance and
I will do a quick cut here. Like, as much as I loved Exodus, which was mostly surface, which a little bit underground here and there, and the premise they kind of did go with it. Now, there was the last story of Artyom, right? That was the last story part, so you were a new character in this one. And I like that we are still going to the surface, but I hope they have learned a lot from Exodus in two ways. First, I hope they will take the lessons they put into Exodus from the previous Metro games, which were, let's just say, the surface level parts I never really enjoyed too much when it came to the previous Metro games. And they made it much, much better in Exodus, because Exodus was mostly on the surface. But they still had issues. Like, I think one of the biggest issues was they could never really figure out how cramped they wanted something to be, how open something was to be. They had also a lot of moments. I think I reached the bad ending at some point. And when I looked it up, what triggered the bad ending, it was basically that one mission where they forced you to not kill anyone and to not be seen. And if you basically failed this particular mission to do so, that would like kind of trigger the bad ending. And you were like, what? Why would such a... Like, that mission wasn't even like anything meaningful. It was such a... Like, they changed it. I haven't played Exodus since the release. I know that they made some sweeping changes with the patches and with the enhanced edition. But that's the problem with Metro games in general. Like, you have multiple endings in the Metro games where Artyom can die. And then they have the next game coming out with Artyom. And it's like, didn't you just die because of my stupid decision? But I hope that if they're doing multiple endings here again, I hope they are making less arbitrary gameplay decisions to trigger the endings. Right. Like, I'm really, really hoping that they are not doing that
fling
again.
barbs from their tails at you, to oversized mosquitoes who like to get right in your face.
I already
to
hate
huge
them.
Prehistoric-sized crustaceans who emerge from the waters of the sewers.
Oh, good.
And as mentioned, there are plenty of other survivors out there too, except all of them are hostile, or at least everyone I met outside of the Metro during my hands-on time immediately wanted me dead.
Yeah,
I appreciated being thrown straight into the
most
deep end
NPCs
as soon
are
as I
hostile.
reached the surface. Yes, a map on a crude tablet gave me a general idea of where to go towards my next objective, but beyond that, I was on my own to figure out the best path and to survive along the way.
I really hope that it not ends up like again, like in the previous Metro games, where unfortunately you could get lost, and that wasn't fun because you are on a timer. You have to fight with radiation and all that, and then the game was like, well, you choose the wrong path. And there was no indicator that there was the wrong path, so you had to walk back, and you lost precious time. And what a lot of people would do at that point was just like, well, then I'm reloading. Right? It was a constant, like, wrong path. And there wasn't anything there, right? It wasn't like there was a secret there, or there was like something you could find. It was just like, you took the wrong path, this is a dead end, there's nothing here, whoopsie. It wasn't really fun. Again.
I wandered into a drugstore, or, well,
Oh.
the picked-apart remnants of one, obviously, and I checked every nook
They're
and
not doing
cranny
this
for
again.
crafting items I could use to make med kits, ammo, and most crucially of all, new gas mask filters. Pressing Y on the keyboard lifts your gun up a little higher so you can clearly see your digital wristwatch, which constantly ticks down the minutes and seconds until your current filter will expire.
Yes.
I found environmental puzzles tucked away in various places and felt
Oh.
compelled to try and solve them all, because the reward would likely be those precious crafting resources that would well and truly keep me alive.
Oh, a
Some
new
of
weapon.
these puzzles utilize the stranger's UV light, guiding you to follow clues that were
Well, that's
scrawled
new.
on walls and floors, such that they could only be seen under the purple hue.
Ah.
In my experience, these challenges may have been optional, but they were worth pursuing every single time. Again,
That's good.
It can't be said enough. Metro 2039 does not mess around. It does not waste your time. There doesn't seem to be any filler content here, at least so far. Everything
So
seems
not
to be
Exodus.
meticulously considered and implemented. The weapons are something of a
I will
puzzle
say I
unto
like the previous
themselves.
Metro games
They
more
can
than
all
Exodus.
be
Exodus was
modified and
better
customized
on a
from their
gameplay level,
scopes to their hilts to their muzzles and
but I
more.
like the idea
At
of
one point fairly early
following
on, I
a
found
path
double-barreled shotgun that I
in the
decided
Metro
to swap
games.
out for the single-barrel version I had on me, and it became my go-to gun in the close quarters dungeons I spent much of the latter half of my demo traipsing through. I even
This is
found
great.
a laser sight to attach to it, which is almost comically pointless on a close quarters death dealer like this, but I didn't have anything better to stick on there, so I figured, what the heck? Oh, and as you may very well have guessed by now, ammo is scarce.
Yes.
You can find and craft different types.
I wonder if ammo is still
metal balls to incendiary rounds
also a
to
paying
armor-piercing machine gun rounds, and you'll certainly need to. I
a way to
survived
pay
a mini-boss fight with a
currency.
9-foot-tall mutant and his feral accomplices with so few rounds left on me that I prayed there was nothing else waiting for me for the next little while, because the fight took place in knee-deep sewer water, which meant that I had
Like the
nowhere that I
military
could set my
grade,
backpack down in order to craft more.
rifle ammunition
Fortunately,
was
Metro's game
always
designers
currency.
did take pity on me, and I was indeed given a short reprieve. But you also have throwables that help tilt the scales slightly back in your favor. I was quite fond of the knives. as
Yeah,
not only
wasn't the
did they
knives
enable you to stealthily
also an
take out
Exodus?
regular human enemies without alerting anyone else, but as you'd expect in a game with such stringent resource management, you can retrieve your blades from the corpses of your targets, or the ground if you happen to miss a throw. But as the caliber of foe ramped
I
up as
don't know what you were
progressed,
talking about.
the Molotov cocktails started to get a lot more useful.
I believe that.
Adding to the list of things that I love about Metro 2039 so far is its gameplay variety. I was never doing the same thing for very long during my few hours with it, and I applaud it for that. As I mentioned, I started with a rare moment of safety in the metro station before moving topside and having plenty of room to roam while contending with the mutated bestiary I talked about earlier.
Oh god. The flying bat creatures are
And
back,
as
right?
I progressed, I was kept
Right.
on my toes with a number of different gameplay scenarios.
Yeah.
At one
let's be
point,
honest.
I was conveniently left a scoped rifle on the decaying second-story balcony of a building adjacent to a nest of Novo Reich members. They're the bad guy faction here, under the direction of Führer Hunter, who was only teased in my demo, so I can't really determine much about the quality of him as a foe, besides the fact that he is very obviously a post-apocalyptic Hitler, and therefore I'll
I mean,
take
he's
great
literally
pleasure in
called
gunning
the
him
Führer.
and everyone in his ranks
I
down in the final game.
mean...
Sadly, I don't have any
And
footage
the
of this to
the
show you.
name is the
Anyway,
Novo
I
Reich.
picked up that scoped rifle and started
Like the
loudly
Third
picking off
Reich.
Nova Reich scum. They told on themselves by having bright lights attached to their weapons in the dark, making things a bit easier for me. Later, in a completely different scenario, I found myself
If that isn't on the
in a
nose, then I don't know
daycare
what is.
where my electronics got mysteriously jammed in one particularly creepy room, making my skin
Huh?
crawl despite there being nary a living creature around, and motivating me to want to get the heck out of there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's one of the
Thankfully,
things
you do
Metro
get a break
did
from
so
the
much better than
constant
Metro
juggling
Exodus.
act of crafting and installing new gas mask filters in
Like,
Metro's sub.
Metro, the first two, had this claustrophobic feeling already because you were mostly in the metro, but every time there was moments where you didn't even fight anyone. There wasn't any monsters nearby, there wasn't any enemies nearby, but there was this areas where you would just go through and you go, whoa, that's crazy. And also, get me out of here. Like, they do a little bit less what do I call that? Sci-fi? I think it's sci-fi, right? They do a little bit less sci-fi than the Stalker series does. Like, yes, they have mutants and all that, but they also have some events which you cannot really explain too much, and of course, the one very important part, which I will not spoiler for anyone who is still want to play the games. So they do those kind of sci-fi, and let's call it fantasy a bit. It's not fantasy, it's sci-fi most of the part. They are doing that, right? Like the inexplainable, oh, well, that defies physics. But they're doing it far, far less than Stalker does. There are no anomalies in the Metro series. Or, well, so far, there haven't been anomalies. Who knows when that changes. But I always like, it's kind of funny when we did a full playthrough of Metro. First, I was mistaken Metro for Stalker. So when I first played Metro, I was like, yeah, I have done a playthrough of Metro. Yeah, I know Metro. Yeah. And then the more I was playing, I was realizing, wait a minute, I think you have never played this game. And then I realized I was Stalker. I played through Stalker, the first one, and I mixed them up at first. But the more you play Metro, the more you realize they are very similar, but they are definitely not the same. Right? They're definitely not the same, especially because they put their emphasis on different aspects where the anomaly and working with the anomalies and the basically new age Chernobyl has brought to the world in Stalker. And Metro, it is actually a little bit closer to Fallout in that regard. It's like just darker and grittier than the Fallout games. There is no humor there. Right? Fallout tries to be still a little bit of like, haha, nukes. Like a lot of like parody. Metro basically takes that and just says, no, let's strip the parody and let's be grim. This is basically the last days of humanity, and they're struggling to survive. There is no redemption story, arc thing, whatever here. There is no hope. And I did appreciate that about Metro. Stalker is also not in that area. Like, yes, the zone exists, and the zone is a problem, but everything around the zone is still in an A-OK shape in comparison to Metro. Right. So yeah, Metro is definitely the darkest one, and they always did that.
Subterranean
Great.
dungeons, at least. The air is clean enough in these to be able to safely remove your gas mask, and in the several I've battled through, all favored close quarters combat, which made me all too happy to bust out that double-barreled shotgun I'd picked up early on.
Oh, apparently an AK-47U.
I was able to choke out the only upstairs guard without alerting anyone below, and he was conveniently standing, or, well, slouching now, next to an open air duct that let me creep down silently and in the shadows to the dark main base below, which was teeming with unfriendly humans.
Yeah, I hope they are not forcing stealth on the people ever again, like they did in Exodus in some parts.
It then became an old-fashioned shootout in which I was happy to break out Metro's lean feature from behind cover to expose as little of my body to the baddies as possible. This was the story.
And the game looks great.
Combat encounters came in many
and I'm pretty sure it will run great.
Sizes, and I really appreciated that. Speaking of appreciation, it will come as no surprise to anyone that's played a Metro game before that 2039 is, visually speaking, gorgeous. It's bleak and horrifying, of course, but it's rendered beautifully.
I assume they are using ray tracing again.
The proprietary engine is really cooking here, though I should confess that frame rate isn't something I can reasonably report on right now. Not just because I was playing a preview build of a game that won't be out for 6 months, but also because I was playing it remotely via GeForce Now. So we'll have to see how it holds.
This is something I heard studios are doing now more often, and I'm kind of terrified about this. This apparently also happened with Warhammer 40K Total War, that when people were playing the preview build, they did not do so. Well, they did do so from home, right? They dialed in and all that, but the game was not running on their machines. I understand this gives some extra security to the developers and is really important because, let's be honest here, leaks do happen. Like there is just one person who says, yeah, let's leak this shit, and then they have a problem. Like, this gives them extra security, and it's great, especially for non-in-person events. But also that means you don't really know how the game will perform. Now, in this case, look, even Exodus, when it came out and was tackling the open world first, it was running pretty well.
Up once I can throw my own 5080 at it, rather than the 5080 that was feeding the game to me via the cloud. I've come this far.
I love the face.
And I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface of what Metro 2039 is offering. Series veterans have no doubt already been nodding their heads along in satisfaction, while those new to Metro are in for a treat, if the few hours I got to play are any indication.
Yep. I mean, that's me, as somebody who has done a playthrough on the channel. Well, unfortunately not on this channel, but on my Mixer channel, of all 3 Metro games. Delightfully so. And I enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm looking so forward to jump into the new one. This looks great. This is exactly what I wanted. So, yeah. Good job on them. Good job on them. Oh, let's have a quick look at... This was a bit of a surprise. Apparently, Transport Fever is coming out at the end of September. Let's watch the quick trailer here. We have a lot of trailers to go through. I can't remember if I played the previous Transport Fever games. I can't. Which probably means no. That looks like City Skylines. Oh my god, can you imagine that Transport Fever 3 might be better than City Skylines 2? That would be insane. Swamp Puppy. I love Swamp Puppy. Oh. And here's mod support day 1. Yeah, I'm in. Memo to myself, reaching out to Paradox. Cool. We'll definitely check that out when it happens. Oh yeah, another IGN video. This one is on Cinder City, where we saw the weird story trailer. And now let's watch some gameplay again, which has basically nothing to do with the story, really. Oh, well, technically it has, but also doesn't. It's a bit like, for everyone who is still wondering what the hell is Cinder City, Cinder City is The Division. South Korea edition. With sci-fi elements and monsters. Yeah. And mechs. And NCSoft. Did I mention the NCSoft? Yeah, NCSoft. So, you know.
Returning to Gamescom once again is Cinder City, the open-world cinematic third-person shooter set in a dystopian world during the 23rd century. Here to talk about how the game has progressed since its initial reveal is James Bay, CEO of Big Fire Game. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Now, for folks who are hearing about Cinder City for the first time, can you give us a top-level explanation of what the game is and how it plays?
예, 신더시티는 그 MMO
Cinder City is a MMO shooter game that sets place at a dystopian, disrupted soul, and it can accommodate hundreds to thousands of players at the same time, and it's mainly a PvE game.
Mainly.
Let's talk about the development. How has the game come along since it was first revealed at Gamescom last year?
그 기본적으로
The core system and the overall structure, including the combat system, are largely in place. So we are putting most effort in expanding the amount of content in-game.
Speaking of content, people actually had the chance to test it out for the first time in the alpha test that Cinder City had recently. Were there any learnings from that, and how are you implementing that critical?
Yeah, were there any learnings from that?
며칠 전이죠. 미국
So let me tell you exactly what the problem with the alpha was. So I think my main takeaway with the alpha and the problem was and what? I was muted. Oh. Oh. Seems like the NDA is still there. Yeah, I've played it. But NDA. So let's see what they have to say. And I would just sit here and nod or not, depending on what he is saying.
Very recently, we have conducted pre-alpha tests for about 3 days. We have accumulated about 7,000 US gamers overall, and they were able to play
totally
the
US gamer,
prologue
by the
part
way.
of the game at the very beginning, which is composed of a solo mission, then progressed into an open world. So they were able to experience the open world part as well. And we were sort of targeting more experienced players, aiming to sort of lean toward a more challenging aspect of the game. So it was difficult for some players, but overall, it progressed fairly smoothly.
Well, it does seem like there was a lot of people that got to go hands-on in that alpha test. I'm wondering, what sort of feedback did you get from those players, and what kind of feedback do you find the most helpful to develop the game in the right track?
가장 이제
What we focused the most was the stability. We tried to ensure that there was no crash and there was no bug during the test that erupted during the test. For most parts, including the graphic and the storytelling of the story, we got a very positive feedback. And we also try to focus on the optimization and the loading part, but we've also got some feedback on that front as well. Some of the feedback that was noticeable was the overall combat balance of the game, the difficulty level, and how there were some shortages in the ammunition. There were also feedbacks on how we needed more guidance on the targeting the creatures in terms of targeting their vulnerable parts. So that feedback was very useful. But
Vulnerable
overall, we
parts.
were satisfied and with the results and how the client and the running of the game went very smoothly and with stability.
I'm curious, are there plans for any more public alphas in the future for players that maybe missed this past one?
지금 나온 피드백들은 이제 바로 수정을 하고 있고요.
Yes, we are currently working on reflecting the feedback that we have received from alpha tests.
And I hope they are reflecting hard.
Alpha tests ahead in our schedule as early as 3 months later. But for the next test, we plan to expand the region or the target group to include not only the US but also the Europe.
Hey, don't have to pretend to be a US person anymore.
Let's talk about
Woo!
the MMO aspects of Cinder City. Can you talk to me about the systems of the game? How do players progress in power? What does gear and loot look like? And what goals should players expect in an MMO like this?
슈터로서 이제 슈팅을 이제
It's basically a shooter game, yes, but we have 5 archetypes
It's a looter
characters
shooter.
in place when players first open Cinder City. We try to include as many race and countries as possible. They all have different
The robot.
The main
The race
character
robot.
is a very attack focused, and the other characters have a tanker position where they are they specialize in the defense
A tanker.
mechanism, and some other characters are
I need a tanker over there.
on assisting, so they can heal and etc. And combining these features with the shooting style, players
I'm not
can
making fun of her.
enjoy different
She's
types
doing a
of
great job with the
experience.
translation.
And once the initial prologue and solo mission is completed, the players can explore this 10 by 10 vast map of Seoul, an open world map, and it can accommodate thousands of
I would
people.
definitely
We
like
have
look
a
when
party
it is
system,
available to the
aka
public and I'm
slot
allowed to
system
stream
in
it. I would
place.
definitely stream it.
So people
And then I would
join
definitely give
in
my thoughts
squads, and
for
they
it.
can also hunt and shoot NPCs in the way together and explore the city.
The one thing I will say already, I kind of hope that Once Human is taking this direction more instead of what Once Human is now. Once Human unfortunately became again this Asian MMO microtransaction mess where they're just throwing in different pieces of completely different art directions and ideas, and the game feels more and more like a tacked on mass with so many different things they just threw in there, which don't make sense from a gameplay direction, which doesn't make sense from an art direction, and it feels so weird to see that, right? Like Once Human unfortunately started out strong and became more and more this, I don't think you know what you want from this game. So I hope that Cinder City, on the other hand, I know not a survival game, very different, but I do hope that they are closer to what I kind of want from Once Human.
They can go underground. They have the freedom of movement using the vehicles that are in place, such as four-seater vehicles.
Yes, I mean,
bikes and
vehicles,
stuff.
yes.
What platforms will the game be available on?
PC.
Where is crossplay something that you're
With 32 gigabyte of RAM, lol, PC.
planning for within those platforms as well?
지금은 이제 PC와 기본적으로 이제
We plan to launch both on console and PC. And for PC, we plan to support Steam, Purple, our NC's own platform, and
Yes.
GeForce Now.
Nobody's using
Cross-platform
Purple.
play is possible, but since a shooter is more playable with just mouse and the keyboard, so considering the usability part, we are not sure if we are going to service that cross-platform play.
I'm curious, are you
I mean, in a PvE game, or mostly PvE game, does it really matter?
targeting a specific release window for Cinder City?
Our goal is to release it the first quarter of 2027, next year.
All right, well, that's super
That's the
exciting.
plan.
James, is there anything you want to share with the audience before we let you go today?
이 장르를
I know, including myself, a lot of MMO shooter fans are waiting for a very fun, well-made MMO type shooter game. So we are trying to please and satisfy that target group. We are working towards that goal.
And the only thing which can
to that
destroy
end,
that,
we
I do
we plan
believe,
to
is
conduct,
NCSoft.
similar tests in the way continuously, and we hope to meet our audience soon.
James, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. I am very curious about Cinder City, and I want to see more of it. I want to play more of it. Yeah. And again, the moment it will be available to the broader public, believe me, I will jump into that. So, we have about half an hour left before the showcase. Do we watch the IGN thingy? Oh yeah. I mean, we could watch some other things. No, I wanna watch the announcement first before we are watching all the other things. I don't want to sit here for an hour and get maybe bored. Well, not bored, but like, yeah, I already know about that. We just saw that. So there is another trailer. There are actually two things. And this was also released yesterday. This hasn't really anything to do with Gamescom. But how do I announce this? Well, let's just say if Escape from Tarkov is not enough for you, then they have something more to offer. Let's watch Fragmentary Order. Man, Marathon wished to look like this. Okay, I mean, that was quick. Whoa. Oop. That was not what I wanted. Thank you for throwing me there. I hate this so much. The moment you were clicking on this thing. So what is this? For everyone who's like, what did I just watch? You watched basically the first trailer for the new game by the Tarkov people. So to make this very clear, it is not Battlestate Games which is working on this game, but the owner, founder, and all the shebang of BSG and Tarkov, Nikita, basically started another studio. He is also owning that, like he does own BSG and all that, and is making a lot of decisions on Tarkov, and said, so As a new studio, hired some more people, and apparently a chunk of the Tarkov people did move over, as far as we know. And we make a new game. Probably marathon, but better. And that's exactly what you were seeing here. This is what they showcased. And that's all we know. They didn't give us any more information. Right? But I mean, I can already see the Tarkov stuff here. Yeah, it's a bit more futuristic and all, but it seems like they have like a badge from a different faction. I do wonder if the robots will be NPCs and then there will be like a scav faction or that. Like, I wonder how close it will be to Tarkov. As I said, it really doesn't tell us anything about what to expect from the game, and they didn't tell us anything. But I wouldn't be too surprised if we are playing this game relatively early. I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe next year, at the beginning of next year, we will actually see some gameplay and what it is. Right? But yeah, keep an eye out, especially as much as I play Tarkov right now. This makes sense. Yep. Oh, No Law as a preview.
The next project from the studio behind the Ascent looks to be jam-packed with all the grimy, futuristic sleaze we expect in a cyberpunk dystopia. Here to tell us about No Law, Torfrick, and Arcade Berg from Neon Giant. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for coming by.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
So, this game,
Sorry.
looking at it in action, I think it kind of speaks for itself. We should have some gameplay up here in a second. But I want to know what kind of a game it is, because I think people look at it at a glance and they're like, that looks like Cyberpunk 2077. But it looks a little bit more kind of like action-packed. You called it a immersive sim, I believe. But like, what is it is it a Deus Ex? Is it a Far Cry? Is it a Bulletstorm? Where does this fall?
Yes.
I think we obviously hear all of this, and they're all fantastic games, so we'll take it as a compliment. And obviously we're inspired by everything we play, everything we see, everything we read. But the important thing is that it's its own thing, and that it has its own identity, right?
I think that's very important so far, yes. I agree with that.
And from, everything out there. But yeah, we do say immersive sim because we want that somewhat niche audience catered to. We are part of that, and we love it. But we also
Interesting.
put in a tremendous amount
To
of
go
effort
with
in
that.
making sure that there is something for everyone, and that goes for the action and for the narrative and for the multiple play styles, that you can kind of like choose your own adventure and make it fit to your needs.
Okay. Now, you've got some vets working at the studio who worked on Bulletstorm and Wolfenstein. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now you've got this trailer where everyone's talking about how this protagonist is nice and stealthy, and then he proceeds to kick a door so hard it explodes. Can we expect that kind of like really over the top gunplay in here, but also stealth options? I'm guessing, is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we really wanted to focus on the player agency and their player choice and how to.
I will admit, though,
any situation.
I kind of hope to see a bit more gameplay instead of just developer talking about it. Like, what the game is, I can figure out for myself. I don't need the developers explaining that too much to me. So, all right. All
Ever
right.
since Creative Assembly released the first
Hit
Total
me.
War Warhammer back in 2016, the part of the community more interested in its futuristic sibling has been clamoring for a version set in the 41st millennium of
It's
the
8
long-running
minutes.
tabletop miniature series. It may have taken longer than folks would have liked, but Total War Warhammer 40K is on the horizon.
And a
during
mouthful.
a recent event, I had a chance to go hands-on with an early build of the strategy sequel, purging some savage orcs and spreading the word of the God Emperor. The build I got to try out consisted of 3 focus slices: a tutorial, a tease of how the campaign will play out, including some customization goodness, And finally, a massive battle, all of which were seen through the helmets of the Space Marines.
Yeah, so as far as we know, when it comes to customization, you can create your own successor chapter for the Space Marines, but you will also be able to create your own faction for the other factions in the game, the successor champions as factions. But what you also will be able to do, and that is some new news, is you will be able to create basically your own legendary lord, which is the main hero in the Total War games. So that is some new information we kind of got. I think like Creative Assembly announced that like yesterday or today. And that's really exciting because that means they can actually do something which I think is very important. They can easily add new stuff which is not covered in the standard lore of Warhammer 40K, and it's not considered canon, and they can just do whatever they like. Like, the problem we have or had was, here's the thing. With Total War Warhammer 1, 2, and 3, Creative Assembly had a lot of freedom. Why? Because Warhammer didn't exist anymore. Like, if you didn't know, Warhammer, the old world, was basically cancelled. It ended in 2016, I think it was. 14? 16? I always mess it up. It's coming back now. Well, it is back, and it's now adding more and more stuff to it. So they're bringing it back, and they are doing like a reset with it. But it was gone for quite a while. And so that also allowed Creative Assembly to have a lot of leeway when it comes to just do whatever they like. Adding new units, adding new factions, which didn't exist previously, and do your thing. It's a bit harder to do in Warhammer 40K, isn't it? So that they're actually allowing you to do your successor factions and even create your own legendary lord. That's a pretty big deal. But now let's IGN talk. We have still another 50 minutes.
All things told, it was about an hour of explosions, bullets, and little dudes shouting, "For the Emperor!"
We shall cut through their number with ease.
Up until now, the Total War series, while featuring range units, has been about two armies getting up close and slashing and stabbing one another with swords and the like. Not only does this latest entry mark the first run with Creative Assembly's new engine, War Core, but also the first range-focused title in the long-running franchise. Trebuchets are out, tanks and walking mechs are in. With this massive leap forward in time to the 41st
well, technically
millennium,
they were already
gameplay
tanks in
itself has had to
Warhammer.
catch up and evolve a bit.
So,
playing through the tutorial, I got a very basic understanding of how this beloved franchise will operate in this new grimdark setting. My squad was sent in to secure a crash site, giving me a crash course on how to move around, get to cover, and more fun things like raining missiles down on some greenskins.
That's
it also
good.
proved a great opportunity to start getting a grasp on some of the new mechanics that players will have to master when it eventually releases, such as strafe firing, suppressing enemies, and calling down drop pods from orbit with fresh forces.
That's really good that they have now a
Perhaps my
tutorial
favorite of
like
these
this.
is that there wasn't a single ammo bar anywhere to be seen.
I know. Oh, there was a tutorial in Total War Warhammer 3. Didn't you play the Chaos campaign? Yeah, I played it, thanks. But as much as that was okay as a tutorial, I think it always failed a little bit to show the battles and to get people used to the small details which you kind of overlook at the beginning. And then later when you realize, oh, there wasn't too much of a small detail, wasn't it? Like, I think one of the biggest issues the game always had was to convey really their stats and to make people understand easily what a stand means in the game, right? Like, they had some serious issues with that. And it seems like now they're getting better at that, and they want to explain people, or they want to explain to more people, like, hey, things have changed. This is not Total Warhammer anymore. This is not the Total War games you have previously played. This is very, very different.
Scene. Thank the Emperor. Even with all the guns, you don't have to worry about 40K losing the intense close combat brawls, as they're still here too. The best showcase of what the new Warcore engine will offer became most apparent when I would pause the action and zoom in into the large Marine on Orc bloodbaths, seeing all the different units covered in blood, or mid-vault over a piece of cover. Seeing my Space Marines chainswords with their motorized teeth sparking against the axes of the Orcs while bullets shot overhead was a sight to behold.
Woo!
While this
Nibble
latest iteration
shoulders.
certainly looks to change things up a bit, Total War 40K is still very much a Total War game, with that same tactically rich strategic playground the series is known for. Even in that introductory scenario, between the sheer number of bodies fighting and all the fronts of the skirmish I had to manage, it really kept me on my toes. Positioning and countering enemy remains something you will always need to consider, with this newest entry looking to offer even more ways to conquer and twist the battlefield to your needs. Lessons that, being a bit out of practice with the Total War series, I had to be reminded of during these rather intense moments during the campaign mission I got to try. The mission in question was for me to go in and retake the nearby Theta Citadel Astropathic Relay Station and get rid of the Xeno threat, which was once again the Orcs, whose Space Force was already positioned and laying waste to the planet not just from the ground but from orbit as well. Before heading down to the ground myself, I wanted to take a peek around the system my Space Marines found themselves in. Planets orbited a menacing blood star with what looks to be an equally imposing Chaos Gate looming nearby. I couldn't interact with them or utilize them in any way during the demo, they simply teased at mechanics to come. Zooming back into the planet I was tasked to clear, I was greeted with a more familiar Total War screen, with various zones, cities, and my armies to command. I could easily rotate my view around large swaths of the planet to find my objective, and the view of space behind the curved world lent itself really well to the sense of scale this game will have. After training up some new troops and making my way to the station, it was time for my Immortals of Deimos, the custom chapter I set up and colored before the mission, to deal with Snaz Braggers and cleanse the Citadel.
Snaz
some
Braggers?
squads of aggressor marines, intercessors, dreadnoughts,
do they have,
repulsor
Snaz
execution
Barons?
tanks, and more, I assigned them to groups and sent them on their way. After some poor battlefield decisions by yours truly, note to self, do not spread yourself too thin and forget to turn the speed back down when things get hairy. The Orcs quickly began marching towards the last group of Marines and tanks, which I had earlier in the match hunkered down and held the high ground of a nearby launch pad.
That's new.
After a few tense minutes of exchanging gunfire and calling down ordnance from my ships in orbit,
I always see people do the opposite,
the Orcs
but
and destroy their Stampa Super Heavy Walker. Watching the yellow monstrosity tip over and explode was nearly as rewarding to see as when I managed to do so while playing the actual tabletop version of 40K. The Imperium of Man had come out victorious once again.
Oh, that's suppression.
Unfortunately, this sense of accomplishment and boost to my ego carried me straight into the very hard big battle that Creative Assembly had also left us to check out if we wanted. Let's just say it didn't go quite so well. Now, a moment ago you may have caught me mentioning my Immortals of Deimos, my custom chapter of Space Marines I got to color up before the mission. Customization is a big part of 40K, and miniature games in general, so I was glad that right at the start of the campaign slice of my demo, I got to check out an early look at what to expect in this regard. For those who have never dabbled in the realm of tabletop miniature games, most of the time the armies you bring to the table have to be built first, and normally also come unpainted. The gray pile of shame is a hobbyist term we use to lovingly refer to all the models in our backlog that we have yet to paint and customize, or build. The offerings at this stage were admittedly a bit lacking, with only a base, accents, and detail colors able to be adjusted and applied to the whole armor, in addition to customizing...
Yeah, I would definitely love to see like a whole painting system at some point that you can just go through here with a paintbrush and do your own thing. And yes, I know that that means there might be later on some issues with that, but if you make it so that you basically always just keep that to yourself, right, that only you can see it. So if you want to do the Ultramarines successor chapter, the Dig God, then sure. But as long as you were only seeing that, I don't really have a problem with it. Of course, Creative Assembly will have, but then again, you could also always do that to your figurines. So what's the big deal here, right?
Your chapter's name and emblem. The number of colors available to pick from, however, was pretty impressive, with Creative Assembly using the actual paint colors from Games Workshop releases. Poking through the options, I saw the
Does it also
familiar
cost
Calidor Sky and Screamer Pink,
as much
setting
as
on
the
Mornfang
paint
Brown
options
for
from
my base of Immortals of Deimos.
Games Workshop?
The representative on site, though, did make it clear that there would be far more options and details for players to explore when 40k eventually ships. As someone with a rather large pile of gray unpainted units, but I swear they're primed, I hope one of those options does include letting me make my armies in that signature plastic look. In all seriousness, though, I do hope that the customization offers enough flexibility.
Interesting that he showed this super briefly, right? But he showed the name options here. Where is it? Right here. He only there. Damn it! I had it. I had it again. Yeah. Immortals of Deimos. So you cannot enter your own name. Again. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Units, but I swear they're primed. I hope one of those options does include letting me make my armies in that signature plastic look. In all seriousness, though, I do hope that the customization offers enough flexibility that physical 40k players will be able to recreate some of their custom paint jobs here in Total War. I don't want to just play Space Marines. I want to command my Space Marines. The team at Creative Assembly has a lot to prove with Total War Warhammer 40k, after various issues and missteps with how DLC has been handled with Total War Warhammer 3
That's one way to put it.
2023's Total War Pharaoh. What I saw during the preview event shows promise. Since the community has been asking for this, I'm hoping they can deliver. Total War Warhammer 40k still has a ways to go before it launches, with no current release window set. We haven't seen a peek yet out of the Eldari faction, and so far we've only had teases and glimpses at the real depth that Creative Assembly is putting into this latest tactical titan. The core of Total War's DNA appears intact so far, but we'll have to wait and see if the heavier focus on range combat and other 40k influences will result in something genuinely special or a creation that's fallen to chaos. Be sure to check out our other recent
Right. We would do that not, because we have better things to do. And that is in 5 minutes, we will have the Alpha Strike coming up. What do we do here very quickly, folks? Before this is actually happening, I will take a super quick bio break, run some ads in the meantime, and then I will be back when this is all starting. Then all the ads are done, and you are not missing out anything important. So I will be back in just then less than 5 minutes. See you then. I'm back. Thank you for waiting. And far more important, it is time. We are 1 minute away from the Total War Live, the Gamescom edition. There have been already some trailers, well, not just trailers, but previews. So basically, they invited a bunch of content creators, not me, because I'm not important enough, last week to check out a build of the game. It's the same build they're bringing to Gamescom. We haven't watched those videos yet because I wanted to see the developer live stream first. We did watch the IGM preview, but it was pretty whatever, subsurface, right? No deep dive whatsoever. And we watched that very quickly, but that was not important. So this is the actual first deep dive we are seeing directly from Gamescom. And I'm really hyped for this because customization is in, campaign map is in, some fights are in, okay. The blueberries are in, sure. But let's do this. Let's watch this and let's have a deep dive. Hi, Josh.
50,000
Without
Strike
me.
Edition. Oh, did I put you in the right seats? I did. Fantastic. We're here today to talk about Total War Warhammer 40,000. So there's been a bit of a wave of footage this morning from press. Oh, I'm quiet because I've not got the mic right in front of my mouth. We've had a bit of a wave of footage from the press and from content creators this morning.
Yeah, we'll watch more of that after the stream.
We are going to be covering the same build, but we are going to be giving a little bit of a difference here in that we're going to explain some of the stuff that's going on. And also we are going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that isn't in this build, just to give some context on what is.
Yes.
We have with us today Oscar, our representative from the battle delegation.
The what?
Should I introduce myself a bit more?
Absolutely.
Yeah, hi, I'm Oscar. Used to do work on the Warhammer Fantasy team back in the days.
Oh.
And now part of the battle team. I'm our combat specialist.
Yep.
That way.
That is an interesting title. So what are you doing for a job?
No.
I'm a combat specialist.
No, not a good fighter in real life.
Marines?
In green war paint. Ready to charge it.
No. Video games?
And we have Will.
I'm working at the camera. There's the camera. Hello.
Okay.
I'm Will. I am a campaign designer.
This microphone is not on.
I have been a campaign designer at the company for a while now. I did a lot of stuff on Warhammer DLC. You may remember me from some ancient Total War arena streams.
Yes, it's a reunion.
Yeah, so I'll be here to talk about a bit about what we want to do with campaign.
Fantastic. I can see everyone saying low audio. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick us onto the Be Right Back stream for just 1 second while I whack those numbers up.
Yeah, his microphone was not on. It wasn't low audio. His microphone wasn't just on. The only audio which was picked up was through the other microphone next to him. So that was not... But hey, I'm glad they rehearsed this. I'm glad they rehearsed this. This is good. This is good. Me on my end, I seem to be a little bit loud. But yeah. Because good old Windows, like I have to sit down. I'm sorry, by the way. I have to sit down on the weekend and just do my audio settings. Windows has been messing with that.
Oh, we've got like a 5 to 6 second delay.
There we go.
So, people saying stream's over. It's yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. They're saying no. Will.
They might be trolling us, so I don't know.
Yeah, his microphone is not on. Are you going to showcase gameplay or just podcast talk? Well, they will show gameplay. They will actually showcase the Gamescom build and more.
Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to throw over to the game screen.
There we go. See, there's gameplay. There's the campaign, there's battle, and then there's your factions. And now we have absolutely no developers anymore. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, as you can see here, this is the interface for Total War Warhammer 40K. This is an alpha build. this is the build which is available at Gamescom right now. So if you are in Cologne, Germany, you can play this. And there is more than just battles. There's also a campaign map they will actually show here. And, well, they will mostly show the Space Marines, which is also the first time we will see the Space Marines. I'm just doing the commentary right now because apparently the developers don't.
So, Will, if you can give one more introduction and we'll see if that works.
Nope. His microphone is dead.
Just yell. Yeah, you can come join me. Okay. Me and Will are going to join a mic.
Professionals, on the other hand.
Will,
hello.
Thank you for joining us. Get to introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Will. I am a
Hi,
campaign designer.
Will. Finally, we hear your voice.
And I've been doing that for a long time on various projects, DLC, arena, all kinds of things. And yeah,
He's still very quiet, though.
some of what we are doing with the campaign in this game.
Fantastic. This is going to be... Oh, now when we go back to main cam, we're all in the wrong order. So now we are the two-headed Josh. And joining us with us is Oscar Will.
Hello.
We also do have on the PC, we have James Bedson, who you will hear us shout at. As
Yeah, Oscar's mic is perfect.
Whatever we
Josh's mic
but he's
is
gonna be
not.
playing for us. Bedson, I won't ask you to introduce yourself because you have no microphone. But Bedson he'll be playing at, we're aiming him for like a mid-skill level. We've told him not to be too good, not to be too bad. But we're trying to represent the average experience. Because otherwise, he could...
Have you seen the average experience of Total War players? I have when I'm playing with my friends.
How can my mic not be working? Mic is on, it's just very directional. All right, well, we're just going to have to get very...
So we can do a bit of wiggling.
Okay, well, you're not going to hear much of me anyway.
That's why you have a shotgun microphone, by the way.
So, what we have here is the build that we took to Gamescom. So if you are at Gamescom and you're on the show floor, you'll be able to play this now. Before we jump into it, you'll see there's 3 sections. There's learning the basics.
I'm not a Gamescom.
The Illumination campaign, I think that's what the cinematic is. We will be skipping the cinematics just because we've got a lot to talk about. There is the Taste of Campaign, which is, as it says, it is a taste of the campaign, right? It's a thin slice, but we'll be talking a bit about the stuff that is there or isn't there. And then we've got a battle challenge, which is a larger battle that we'll be able to play. So before we get in, there are a couple of questions that we saw from the last stream that we just wanted to tackle first. One of them was, I didn't realise it at the time, but I was dropping quite the bombshell when I asked Dave about ammo. A very quick fire, it was, is there infinite ammo? Yes, and we didn't really get the chance to expand on that. So Oscar, I wanted to give you the chance to talk a little bit about ammo before we dive in.
Yeah, so, I mean, we had when we were starting the project, we had a lot of thought about, like, should we do ammo or not? It's an integral part to a Total War game.
Yeah, a lot of people were pissed about that, funny enough.
There's a lot various factors
I don't care.
as to, like, why we decided not to do ammo in the end. Partially, it's not just that core to the actual fantasy. Warhammer 40K is, all about the action and kind of just, like, we wanted to kind of keep it more towards, what's fun and exciting.
I think in the lore...
The other part there is, like, we're no longer in medieval ages. You don't just have a
I have never seen the narrative of, like, we're running out of ammo!
The weapon of each squad member and each weapon. But that gets very messy very quickly for gameplay in terms of, like, well, when should an unit attack? When should a unit not attack?
My cam is in the way. Why did they put the cam there?
Out of ammo?
God damn it.
It's just a simpler, neater gameplay experience that I think is more fun. So
yeah, that makes sense. And the second question in the same vein then was, how common and powerful are the kind of army abilities they were saying? But I think they're referring to things like the lance strike and the bombardments.
Yeah, it really depends on, again, the army ability. So you have, like, faction army abilities like the Space Marine doctrines that will always be there. Generally speaking, we've kind of put an internal cap of, like, you're probably not going to have more than...
Look, I've been playing Total War games for my entire life, and I've played it since the second Total War game in general.
On a lower power level,
the Total War community loves to overanalyze just a few bits and blobs of footage, and then they're going after that. And it's like, yeah, they showcase those special abilities, and they were like, oh my god, this looks so OP. Oh my god, how can you do this? Overanalyzing. And it's like, you do understand that those are basically just spells in Total War Warhammer 3. Right? It's like throwing your Firestorm in there or whatever.
Like, if you have a big papal fleet bombardment, that's happening because your fleet is in orbit, right? And you put that fleet there, and you have upgraded that fleet, and the enemy is not doing things that are stopping you from using that.
Okay, so you actually have to put some work in to get your fleet into that position to actually support you.
You know, you should have levers on the campaign map that help you kind of counteract them and stuff. So
makes sense. And that's something I definitely enjoy. It reminds me a bit of Helldivers. Funny enough, Helldivers is doing something similar, right? You have your super destroyer in orbit, and then it can support you as long as it stays in orbit, but when the super destroyer has to leave, you're on your own. Good luck.
Speaking of, I said we'd skip the cinematics, but actually, I think if we start off with the Illumination cinematic, I can put us full screen.
Yes.
And then I actually can scurry and see if I can fix these mics.
Yes. Well, let's see if we can do that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Nope. Nope. It's going. God, look at that. Hey, there's the Dark Imperium in the top. Dido. I wonder if the Dark Imperium will be available. Or if it is something they're adding later through DLC.
The galaxy burns. There is no peace amongst the stars. They flicker like a million candles holding back the night. Some will falter. Some will fade. A few will linger on.
It's quiet.
Worthy of protection.
Oh, there we go.
The Emperor's left hand descends for his angels. Courageous, dutiful, but ignorant of the trials to come.
I have a feeling that's an elder who's doing the narration right now.
These warriors must seek the light before they can safeguard it.
Oh no, this is the Emperor's
For if they
Tarot.
fail, the candle they hope to shield, and many others, will be extinguished.
That's an awesome cinematic so far.
Cogitation protocols initializing. Nodal link established. Fleet modules online. Synchronizing crew data of the Emperor's Torch.
What is our status, Fernand?
Captain Halsor has made planetfall and awaits our arrival on Umbral Prime.
Very well. Commence mission protocols.
Cogitating. Decrypting mission objectives.
I wonder if they removed the actor.
Inquisitorial petition for aid.
I always forget his name.
Illumination. An inquisitorial vessel named
After he had a crash out.
It was transporting cargo of extreme importance to the Imperium.
What cargo?
Data has been redacted. It must be recovered at all costs. Arrival imminent, Lord.
Prepare for real space re-entry.
Alright. Cool little cinematic.
Translation complete. Ship systems operating within acceptable efficiency parameters. Thank the machine god.
The Omnissiah provides. Ooh, look at that.
Captain Halsor, have you located the crash site? Coordinates have been confirmed. It lies to the east. Then we are close.
Okay. That looks neat. So here we are, and the people who are supposed to talk are not back yet. So I'm very curious about what we are seeing in the top left corner. I hope there will be some explanation about the numbers we are seeing right now. Like, I'm pretty sure that the first number, the big one, which is what, 10,000? Do I see that right? 10,000, 10,000? Yeah. It's like the money or the resource. Okay, zoom in and zoom out. That makes sense. I wonder what the 30 means on the side.
Survey of planet complete.
We are mobilized and ready to move.
He's probably screaming at the community manager right now. We're alive! We're alive! Have you fixed it? What should I do? Technical issues, they're the worst. Most of the time that only happened when you were going live, so...
Reposition to target coordinates.
Okay, so far so Total War with the movement on the campaign. Yes. Okay, yes. Where's the action points of this? Oh, it costs... Wait. Whoa, that's big. So you have points now instead of just a bar, which is like slowly emptying. That's huge.
Brothers, intone your battle hymns. It is time for war. Recover the cargo at all costs.
The map looks great, by the way, especially with as a planet.
Hello, we have called in an audio expert from outside who will be coming in to fix some of our issues, but otherwise, until now, we have Will here to talk about some of this campaign section.
Yeah, we can use the one working mic and do a bit of hot seat for the moment.
Exactly. Oscar, could you pass me my papers, please?
Cool. So what our colleague James has been gamely stalling by showing you a bit of the tutorial as we've dealt with our technical issues. But what you're seeing here is the first planet of our tutorial campaign called Illumination. This is a sort of semi-narrativized campaign, a little bit like the tutorial campaign of Warhammer 3. Where we do a bit of kind of scripted storytelling and kind of get you onto the basics of the game.
Yeah, I think the map looks great so far. A lot of the explosions, the craters.
Planets, right? And let me give them a nice full view of that. So, how does a planet work compared to what they're used to in the traditional?
How does a planet work? Well, it's round.
Kind of almost like the basic kind of fundamental gameplay unit of the game, right? Like most of what you're doing is fighting on planets. And a planet alone is quite like a detailed gameplay experience, right? Like this isn't the kind of thing where you fight one battle and you capture a whole planet, right?
Yes.
The planet has many regions, many settlements, many battles to fight. We're imagining that something like this. So this is a small planet. And
it's more like a continent in the previous Total War games then.
Way more regions than this. That would be probably equivalent to, say, like a continent in the Warhammer 3 terms.
Yes, and so this is a single planet, right?
Yeah.
But a system.
Yes.
And are we able to? Is this the one where we can zoom out to a system? Well, we'll be showing that in the next one.
We'll show that later. But yes, a single planet is made of multiple. A single star system model is made of different planets.
Oh, they cannot show that here.
You can traverse between those planets by flying through space. You can fight on multiple planets at the same time. And that set of planets within that solar.
But it seems like the planet is limited. I wonder if this is just because of the tutorial.
And so what they can see is there are quite a few grayed out buttons there. Yes. So this build we've called it a slice and a taste of the campaign, right?
Yes.
What isn't in this build?
I mean, the tutorial in particular, which we're looking at now, is even more restricted. So there should be a few more buttons that you can press in the final thing. But like a lot of the content's not there, so you won't see much in terms of building trees. A lot of the interactions around fleets, so it won't be.
I'm not sure if I like the ships flying around in your screen.
You can do with the fleet later on, but you won't have the full range of upgrades.
And now I just realized that they have. You know what? They put the camera there. It's not important.
We'll talk about that a bit later. We talk about the theatre and how that all ties together.
I'm done with moving around my camera.
Bedson, feel free to continue on because it's going to bring up our first talking point of moving around the planet.
Okay.
Cool.
Firstly, I guess. Oh, you are going to have to fight this one. Before you fight this one, moving around the planet is a bit different.
Yes. So one of the big things about this Total War, we basically have had to build everything from the ground up, from scratch. Right. This is an entirely new campaign model, and while that challenges, right? I think one of the first things I remember us doing was rewriting how you select things in the game, right? That's something we kind of had a basic.
Also, wait a minute.
It's given us an opportunity to
4
also look
Space
back at
Marine
various stages of
detachments
Total
are
War,
fighting against 13 orcs?
so in more recent Total Wars, you've had this quite granular
Interesting.
movement, which is, feels like, there's a lot of flexibility there. But it
Predicted
has
casualties?
that we had in the
Unknown.
older games, where you have this like more kind of board game-like, risk-like, district-based movement. And what
Oh, we
we're trying
have
to do with this
5
game
in
is get the best of
reserve.
both worlds, right? So while there's a kind of granularity,
So it's
within
9
the
against
map that's much higher
13.
than you would have found in Shogun 1 or
Okay,
May 1.
that's more doable.
Your detachments, which is what we call armies in this version, they still move between these kind of larger segments of space and control those areas of space. Which means you no longer have to worry about, oh no, I can move 95% of the way to the settlement, but I can't quite make it.
Yes.
That
That is such a big change already. What the hell, man? It's amazing.
Strategic gameplay.
Helpful for the AI as well, right?
Yes, it definitely kind of reduces the amount of spaces that the AI needs to think about, but also makes it easier for you to understand what the AI can do. Right? It's a lot easier to be able to predict where the AI will attack.
Yes.
It's a lot easier for you as a player to kind of plan out your strategy in advance.
And so maybe fewer of those. I'm constantly just
So many moments where you were like, how did the AI get me? What?
Cool.
Been there.
I mean, allegedly that might work. So you may wanna give it a little hello and see. Oh, we've got our mic man. Will, do you want to say hello into the mic just to see if there's any chance? Hello. Any chance you guys can hear Will while we're loading in? I'll go game screen.
Not at all.
No. Okay. Then we've got 2 working mics, and that's fine. We'll keep hot swapping.
Well, 1.5 working mics.
Oscar, these cinematics, these all pre-rendered out?
I mean, these are fully dynamic.
Yes, and then the Thunder
Depend
Orcs.
completely on your army composition. They're gonna reflect your customization choices.
It's kind of cool that they're doing intros again. I've kind of missed that in some of the previous Total War games. Right. Like in the old Total War games, you had like an intro to your army or a general doing a speech, and they removed that. Kind of missed that. I really did. I'm glad that we are back on that.
So
Okay.
we've seen Astra Militarum play in battle last time, and that was Will playing that. A different Will, I'll call that. How to Space
Different Will.
Marines, and Benson, feel free to
I have a lot of wills at Creative Assembly, apparently.
I mean, it is a very different play experience. Space Marines obviously come in few numbers.
Yes.
You're gonna have less units around. The units that you have.
I wonder
Obviously, Space
how
Marines
well
have
that works.
A lot of armor. They've got a lot of health per entity. They also regenerate. In
Because
combat.
numbers could be a
So you kind of
factor
as long
in
as
the
kind of
previous
like the
Total
threats
War
that are
games.
coming your way are managed, and you don't get overwhelmed as a Space Marine player, you can keep taking on the odds. Like a Space Marine at choke point might be able to take unit after unit.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
playing as the Space Marines is really about like controlling the battle, controlling your.
Oh, they are
execution,
not running.
And effectively, kind of trying to dictate like where the fight is going to happen. Trying to
So
bring surprises on the enemy by bringing in your drop pods.
Yep.
And just taking advantage of like what makes the Space Marines so great and powerful.
And we're the Ultramarines here, right?
Yes.
And that's who we'll be playing for the tutorial campaign.
That is not true. These are not the Ultramarines. This is a special chapter for the tutorial. I can't remember what they're called, but they are not Ultramarines.
The near Ultramarines.
Ultramarine successor chapter.
What's a word below Ultra? The partial Marines.
Oh, they're just Marines. Marine Marines.
So you're playing as not the Ultramarines here.
No.
So
I mean, that was
this is a
pretty
new
clear
map.
if you just looked at the heraldic.
All right, we're slowly fixing the broken mic, so please excuse us if you hear any interference. So this is a new map we've seen. I think this map is called Crashdown.
I think so, yeah.
And where does this? They can see it in the Mina map as well.
This
where
makes me
where would you
happy.
say this ranks in terms of map density?
This makes me
This
happy.
is definitely one of the
You
most
know,
open maps we have.
So
Just Space Marines killing a bunch of greenskins.
Yeah, it's basically centered around this massive crashed ship that the orcs are trying to funnel through. and obviously they're getting eviscerated in proper gory fashion. You kind of really
They're
kinda
very
see that
slow.
Space Marines, the bolt rifles.
Yeah, but they are getting closer,
Pretty
so...
much have the capacity to kill an orc in one shot.
So things running at you through the open, they're not going to have a very good time. And we can see as well, we spoke about it on the last stream, but the... Oh, that's a... That was a friend. That was nearly friendly fire. But the...
And now
the
they're
weapon
running in.
swapping, right? So they're using different weapons at different points here is what it makes sense
Wow,
to use
they
to kill this
actually
enemy.
did not manage to get close to the
Benson,
Space
if you can actually
Marines.
click on one of the profiles there, expand, or just click on... There you go. So we can even see here all of the different weapons that they've got. And these all have very different profiles to the ones that we're seeing with the Astra Militarum.
Yeah, like one of the big things that we kind of worked on is like bring in like.
I mean, why would you give up that position?
Which basically, controls your chance to hit.
They have zero evasion, but they have a high armor.
And some targets will have, fairly high evasion, and they're gonna be harder to hit,
brother.
very low evasion. So
What was that FPS drop?
So even like your orc is probably gonna be able to hit a land raider at distance.
Will it do much? We don't know. So the other thing this has that the Billy World video and stream that we did doesn't have is Fog of War. So how does line of sight and Fog of War work here?
Oh, yeah.
Well, basically, the core difference that we've really kind of brought down, like the distances that you can see, so you have less certain knowledge of the battlefield. And the core difference that we've obviously now visualized it with the Fog of War shader, so you can quite clearly see the areas you can and cannot see.
Oh, it's because the Space Marines can
Depending on the
just
unit type,
have a higher vision.
You'll have different vision ranges, for example, so
Okay.
vehicles are quite blind at a distance.
Yep.
So if you, with many of the bigger vehicle weapons, if you actually want to fire at, like, say, like the max distance of a Baneblade cannon, you actually need to be kind of scouting for them.
Well, that makes sense. So you're varying your kind
Do
of
it.
the usage of your units in the army, right? You've got one
Send to you
ahead to make
Raiders.
sure that they've got line of sight for the long range weapons.
Yeah.
So sight isn't always as far as your weapon range is.
And you can also, for example, see here in the middle of the map,
love it.
the orcs came through the spaceship. And
Yep.
there was initially a building there. And that building basically
Oh no, it's the
obscured line of
intercessors.
sight.
I always call them Viscerators.
By destroying buildings that are in your way,
I don't know why.
you can gain more line of sight.
Because I'm
For
dumb
example,
and I cannot
forests.
spell
You can bombard
intercessors.
forest to open up line of sight through it.
Yep.
I have to say, some of the animation looks a bit janky, and there's the friendly fire also coming in.
Activate to create a cloud of smoke that will actually block line of sight through it.
Yep. And we were seeing there some of the intercessors, although fighting in melee, still popping off shots with their pistols as well.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that the new engine has kind of unlocked for us, the ability to have that weapon switching even during combat.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work. To
Yeah, what
ensure
looks absolutely janky to me is when they have to step over something. But then
more
again,
kind of natural and kind of do the thing that
they can still fix
would
that.
do. So for example, with this like missile in melee,
They can still
behavior
fix
that
that.
we
Like, yeah, look at this.
a key part
That
there was,
stepping
like,
over.
no longer want to just fire
Ooh.
fake bullets and pretend that we fired a
Ooh.
bullet in melee. We
Please
actually
fix.
want the pistol to be taking the shots.
That looks
And kind of get
not
the
good.
right cadence of like, well.
Oh yeah, there's a
Space
different
Marine,
Fog of
when,
War.
Say an assault intercessor will pop
kinda cool.
off a shot with the bolt pistol when
Yep.
there's a good opportunity for it.
Very much like in tabletop, right?
Yeah. And we just want it to make sense. Like we really want to kind
The
of
FPS
push
drops.
forward the fantasy of
Yep.
the combat, and kind of make it feel like this is what.
I know
combat
it's an
in the
alpha.
40K
I know the
universe
game is
look
not
like.
coming out before next year.
And
At
I think
this
it's
point,
done a fantastic job
and
there.
so far
I'm
it
trying to
has
see if
been
there's any
holding up
questions I
quite a
can
bit.
pull from chat.
But,
Apologies, there is someone playing around with the computer while we're still doing it, so there may
Oh.
have been some disruption there. But
Well, that is a good
people talking as
explanation.
well about the. Oh, there we go. That's a fantastic explosion. The blood and gore, like it is a very blood and gory game, and that is it's not something that's separated out like there's been in previous Total Wars. This is all part of the base game experience because we felt it was essential, like you just saw, to that visual experience for the game.
and it's also just crucial for help selling the impact of weapons.
Yeah.
That's something that we
Well, makes sense. Keep in mind that they kind of did that also for the DLC for rating, because it would lower the age rating of a lot of the Total War games, and then you could just add it afterwards, and then the age rating wouldn't account for that. But you still sold that for money, so ass move. But I'm glad that they're not doing that anymore.
Something similar.
Yeah. One thing as well, people may notice in the difference between this and the creator and press footage is, unfortunately at the time of capture, there was a small issue with the VFX in some of their footage, so you won't be seeing that here, and that is why there is that difference.
Interesting.
How are you doing with the battle, Bedson? He's doing well. Again, it's very hard to find volunteers to play on stream for us in front of so many people, but
really?
he's doing a fantastic job. So to take some of the
I'm
questions
right here.
that I can see here,
Creative Assembly.
there is a question about space battles, which is something that I believe we spoke about in the
You have my number. Call me up.
community inbox stream we did back in January, which is they won't be in there for launch, but we know that they're an important part of the IP, and we will look at them beyond them.
Yeah, we know that.
Another question about release date, of which I'm not just gonna throw out there, but we are able to say that we're coming in 2027. Whoa! Good
Like
timing
the
for that.
Thunderhawk coming.
So you can expect to see us then.
Okay.
And there'll be more information about the closed beta soon, so you'll be able to. Those
I
people signed
hope
up
they're
and
actually
are
using
lucky
the
enough to
closed
get in,
beta
will
as
be able to
closed
experience
beta
it
and not
and
as a
feedback themselves
marketing
there.
gag.
This feels like a real last stand of those orcs.
Getting some more.
The morale system in game then. We saw with the Astra Militarum that can be quite important in make or break. How does morale differ for these Space Marines?
Well, firstly, Space Marines don't break. They are unbreakable. They can be morale shocked, so if you get them, get their belief low enough, they'll still take the penalties that are associated with battle shocked.
Yep.
But you'll never see a Space Marine.
Oh, it's over.
Run. And usually that kind of means that Space Marines can keep going when the odds are against them, and can quite often also recover from that situation, provided again the pressure isn't too much for them.
Yep.
So
Somebody's using screen capture.
You really need to keep your eye out for.
That wasn't my Windows
when is my
bar.
unit under such pressure that I need to intervene. Like I need to, pop off a doctrine to help them fight, or use a bombardment.
So I'm definitely not using light
spawning
mode
some
on Windows.
Yep.
With a teleport.
I'm not a heathen.
We are going to ask Will just to say one sentence.
It's not a sentence, that's a
And
word.
we'll find out in a few seconds if you were finally able to hear Will. Otherwise, we're just going to tell Will that he's on stream, and me and Oscar will keep going. No, they can't. It's fine, Will. We've got our other Will. There's too many Wills. We've got our single hot mic solution that we will continue to work with.
Two
Before we
Space
move on from
Marines
here,
lost.
You will see there's deployed, lost, and remaining.
Damn.
An intentional kind of different wording here of lost.
Is this like mentioned to the injured stuff?
Yes.
Probably Will is probably better placed because it's a campaign feature.
Well, we'll be going back to campaign.
I'm
so
gonna let him
we'll
swap.
do the old.
So yes.
Feel free to end out, Bedson.
Yeah, one thing that we're keen to do with Space Marines in particular is kind of represent how kind of resilient they are, right? They're super difficult to recruit in campaign. You're not going to have very many of them, so it would absolutely suck if they just all died randomly in battle. So a Space Marine, entity or unit can be.
I mean, that also really depends on the auto battle and how bullshit that is again.
Back, after in campaign. So it's a little bit kind of like, if people are familiar with the Dead Rise Again stuff with the vampire counts.
No, I want
Warhammer,
the
it's kind of
show the elder.
a little bit of resilience in your units and keep going in battle.
Fantastic. We will just now then move on to talking about customization. So what we are now is into our taste of the campaign. Oscar, just say hello.
Hello again.
Let us know if you can hear Oscar.
Yes.
They are saying they can hear tapping. Oh wow, we may have fixed the microphone.
That sounds good.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Will. Feel free to depart. We're going to put ourselves back on screen. Let's go that side. Oh, we can all be heard. Only took us half an hour. All right, so we've got a name system here, similar to others that they've seen.
Justice
so there are limitations
Bears.
in what name
Oh my
you
god,
can
what the Care Bears.
Yes.
My successor chapter.
That is a question.
The Care Bears.
Yeah, so for various reasons, we want to kind of make sure that the names you're picking are at least somewhat in line with the lore. So you kind of pick from sets of pre-built combinations of words. However, there's a ludicrous variety. I think there's something like 17,000 combinations for Space Marines, and you can come up with some quite silly ones, and also some very edgelordy ones if you want. One of the streamers this morning
what?
Split between absurd and edgy.
Yeah,
so.
the number of pink Marines was very high.
People either go pink or they go kind of black and red. I feel those are the two extremes.
The bringers of death.
We'll see if there's anyone in chat who has any suggestions of a name based on what they can see. So short, medium, and long. You can always be the something of something. I
the
find
spitting drinkers.
You can make your own version of the Flesh Terrors. I find what's he called himself? Space Marines. Do you know what? Honestly, I quite like it.
One of my favourite is 1,000 Marines, just because it's like just extremely descriptive of what a chapter is.
Star Children. Actually, do you know what, Benson? I really think you've done a good job here with Space Marines.
Not 1,000 Suns?
Do you know what?
The Emperor was not feeling very
innovative that day. Maybe change one word, otherwise we won't be able to differentiate between the things that are like custom for our name and things that just say the word Space Marines.
Space Bear.
Okay, we'll be the Space Bears. So one thing we want to point out just immediately off the rip is this is not the full customization that we're intending to have in at launch. This is a much more limited version. The reason for that is it's quite simple, and that is during our testing, this is a build for Gamescom, right? This is a build where people are going to sit down, they're going to have 30 minutes to play. During our testing, our testers would spend 40 to 45 minutes on our customization.
That checks out, yeah.
So,
that checks out.
There's a lot of granularity.
Let's be honest here, this is where probably a big chunk of the people would just sit.
3-color scheme. But even with that, you can do some pretty fun combos.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that we're missing here, so when you make your own custom chapter, it is more than just the colors, right?
Yes.
You're able to make a character.
Yes, so you'll have your warlord character, what we call them, who's your faction leader. You'll have some more
faction leaders, aka legendary lords.
As well as some kind of gameplay stuff about their loadout.
Mm-hmm.
We will also allow for customization of faction traits.
Yes.
So you'll have a big suite of faction traits you can pick from, which have
sometimes
quite
cloaks.
materially chunky impacts on your gameplay. So, if you want to really lean into being a good boy Space Marine chapter who likes defending the weak, and you give all your territory back to the Imperium, you can pick traits that lean into that, or if you're a rascal, there'll be traits that support that playstyle as well.
So when you've made your faction, you've got colors, you've got traits, and you've made a character, and that is not just Space Marines.
Yes, all factions will have this full suite of customization options.
That's amazing.
Fantastic.
I love it.
How are we looking, Bedson? Bedson, you collect Dark Angels, don't you? And I think that has become very apparent in the color scheme you've chosen.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to flag is we're not like gating colors or icons, right? If you want to make your kind of cosplay Dark Angels with this system, we're not going to stop you, right? You're not going to have all the kind of special units that the Dark Angels might have, but you can at least kind of LARP as them for a little while.
Okay.
Anything else we want to say about customization before we move on?
Where's the bear?
Nope. I guess the only other thing being customization, you'll see it on the campaign map, you'll see it in battle. The only one of the limitations for our Gamescom demo here is you will not see them represented in the unit cards.
Yes.
The unit cards will still look very blue.
Yes, this is a surprisingly difficult technical challenge to resolve, but we're looking at solutions to it.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, again, this
is... He's actually made a nice... Most people don't make such nice...
Yeah, he's become that the tester we were talking about. Move on, Benson.
Get on with it.
He's like, no, but I'm not ready.
Fantastic. So now I think will actually be a better example of what we were trying to talk about before with the region moving.
Yes.
So we'll show that first. But before we do, once we're loaded in...
the loading times are relatively nice.
So I guess we can watch that.
I hope it stays that way. Even I know this is a slice, and so there's far less to build. Oh no.
We, the Adeptus Astartes, are inbound. Our mission, to retake the station and purge the Xenos threat.
Oh, I hope there will be balance on the station.
Entering orbit. Orc fleet detected. Taking damage. Retaliating. Targeting large batteries.
Pew pew. This looks awesome. Like so far, wow. One shot, one kill.
Destroyed. Proceeding with bombardment protocols. Awaiting further instruction.
Strike force is primed for deployment. Our battle brothers are ready to make planetfall. The objectives are clear and verified. Slay the Orc filth and capture the relay station. For the Emperor.
Oi, Guff. What do you mean?
Okay, fantastic. So that's a bit of a mood setter for this Gamescom demo, right? Welcome to our slice of a campaign. So we'll be the Space Marines here.
Yes.
As we were in the previous.
And yeah, I do want to stress this is very much a slice of campaign.
Is that the amount of people on the planet? 45 billion.
And the system.
Well, I was going to talk about the planet first, but let's talk about the planet first. So again, this is like a small slice of what you would see on a whole planet. This is like 2 to 3 large regions split up into I think a total of about 14 to 15 districts. That's probably about 10% of what you'd see on like an actual full planet.
Yep. Are all planets the same size?
No, we have a mix. Not only just in terms of physical size, but also in kind of the number of regions and districts you would find on each one. And they also have quite different biomes, quite different world types. This I think is like a wastes world.
Yeah.
So it's got these kind of really gross, grungy, toxic pools and funky-looking trees and stuff. And each one of them is hand authored, right? So the actual kind of layouts are all done by our design team. So each one of them should feel really unique. And then we have a lovely layer of kind of procedurally generated art on top. That kind of fills in all the gaps with trees and stuff. So it allows us to iterate and make cool maps really, really quickly.
Not cool.
And yeah, if you want to then zoom out to the whole map.
Are those ships reflecting the colours that he selected?
They should be, yes.
It looks it.
That looks...
yeah, should we zoom out to the system?
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is an example of a kind of normal-sized campaign map. So you'll see there are not all of these planets are things you can land on. You can't land on a gas giant. That'd be a really bad idea. But you would have, say, like 3 to 4 kind of navigable planets that you would go to in a campaign.
Maybe we find some Necrons on there.
And that would be the kind of full extent of your campaign experience within a single campaign. Should we talk about the theatre stuff now, or do that later?
We can talk about that now.
Yeah, but that is not where it ends. We love putting more layers in our game. So each of these campaigns will fit into a larger map, which we call the theatre, the Crusade Theatre, and that is effectively an interconnected series of campaigns, each of which is integrally connected to what's happened in the previous ones. Right. So the tech that you research in this campaign, you can wrap up this campaign, you can complete your objectives. That's a nice kind of a point where you might wrap up for the weekend. But then your next campaign that you fight in the Crusade Theatre, you'll have those same techs. The units that all ranked up will have the same ranks. The characters that you
That's cool. You take your stuff
probably
with
get, like,
you.
a reward for completing this campaign. It will affect potentially not just the next campaign, but all the campaigns in the theatre, right?
Yep.
If this campaign was themed around rescuing a major armaments factory, winning that campaign might mean that all future campaigns in the theatre, you get increased better weapons, better tanks, and stuff like that.
And how many campaigns can I expect to play in a theatre?
So the theatre is around 10-ish campaigns total. You won't need to go through all of them to win. They culminate in a big final campaign, Armageddon. So that's the kind of end goal of all of this. It's all the factions are fighting over Armageddon. But really, it's up to you how many of these you want to do along the way. If you're feeling, really elite, you can just kind of blast through and do it in 2 or 3. And we'll actually, the turn counter will stay consistent over the whole theatre. So I think a fun challenge that maybe some of our streamers will want
I
to
wonder
have
if they are
how many turns
bringing...
when they complete the theatre in.
Like, it seems like they have forgone the whole
and the
Galaxy
minions.
Conqueror system thing.
Oh, fantastic.
Which
so
they talked
really,
about.
We've got a campaign within a campaign now as well.
Yeah, so the overall theatre experience is by a long way the biggest kind of combined gameplay experience we've ever done in Total War, right? Like, it is, effectively multiple Mortal Empires stapled together.
Yep.
But we've broken it in such a way that if you want to just play, for a few hours on a weekend and tick some stuff off and feel you completed something, you still have the opportunity to. So
that's a good idea.
Best of both worlds.
Awesome. We have so many questions, and a lot of those questions I can see will be answered as we get through them. So to start off, let's reiterate again about the changes to regions. Now it's a little bit more obvious.
Yes.
I believe, Bedson, you're able to move. Is it the optimal thing for you to move here?
Yeah.
There's the Land Raider event, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. So each of these kind of sort of triangular shaped things that you can just see highlighted here, that's what we call a district. So that's an area of movement.
Okay.
So that's effectively the space that James's Marines are controlling now. So anyone who tries to enter that who's an enemy,
they bring basically back the movement from the previous, like from the very old Total War games,
which is where you can see that nice big building with the icon.
where you had to go from region to region instead of having free movement.
It's not like you just jump from capital to capital. There's all kinds of stuff you do on the
I
way.
love that.
So we have a nice kind of mix of granularity and clarity.
Which is something we've seen players talking about in. They don't want it to just be hopping between settlements and making sure a planet feels big, right?
Yes,
like this
critical,
space.
I love that. I always thought that the old movement system was
There
better.
won't be naval battles, as in you're going in and you're playing a little RTS. But they're, at least for launch, but there are still ways to interact with the fleet. It's a very important part of the experience.
Yeah, so that kind of interrelation between the fleet and the ground forces is kind of pivotal to a lot of our kind of gameplay design, right? It's a really kind of interesting space. It's very unique to this game compared to previous Total Wars. So your fleet is able to provide bombardments. It's able to drop these things called deployables. So Space Marines, for example, they can't replenish on the ground, right? You can't just walk up to the local village and turn some people into a Space Marine, right? They have to come from other places. What you can do is your fleet can drop a little kind of
You're a Space Marine now.
Your detachment can then walk up to that, pick it up, and then heal that way. So there's a real kind of integral connection, especially for Space Marines, between the fleet and the land gameplay.
And the fleet's going to be about how I'm getting between the planets, I assume?
Yes, of course. So any detachment can call in a transport fleet and they can fly off, but you will have this kind of big central fleet that acts as the kind of main kind of pivotal point around which those will need to move, right? Like if you try and send your transport fleets to push past the enemy main fleet, they're not going to last very long. They're going to go crashing down from the surface of the planet. Some of them might survive, but it's not going to be
Okay, so it still seems to be at least like a little auto battle between
Well, we're on the second page.
the ships in space.
They
still interact with each other.
Do you want to talk about what Bedson's popping up?
So James is now looking at the recruitment screen. Space Marine units, like I said, they're very expensive. You should not be recruiting lots of them very frequently.
3,000, and he has 10,000, and he makes 3,000 per turn.
Right, that's not how Space Marines function. You're going to be relying on local allies to kind of fill those gaps, right? You're going to have to kind of be working with the local Aspiratorum and the local planetary defense militias, while you are using these very small elite forces that are extremely powerful, but also extremely valuable and vulnerable to being lost.
A couple of questions I just saw of what you were talking about earlier. Can you have multiple fleets? Can you have armies on multiple planets?
You can have armies on multiple planets, yes. So you'll only have one main fleet, but you can have multiple transport fleets.
Okay.
So any detachment can call in a little transport beacon, and then in a couple of turns, a fleet will come pick them up and fly off. So you can have multiple armies traveling around, but you'll only have that one big fleet at any one time.
So you would be able to wage war across every single planet at the same time
if you wanted to, yes. It's probably not the most efficient way to approach the campaign, but you can do that should you so desire.
I mean, when have we ever played Total War the efficient way?
There's a little example of one of them here. There's a little crashed Land Raider in this district.
What does that mean?
What will happen? Land Raiders, for those who aren't familiar with them, are these super powerful ancient tanks. They aren't something you can just roll up a factory line, right? If one is destroyed, it's a pretty big deal. Fortunately, they're so durable that if you happen to lose one in battle, the wreckage will still be there on the campaign map.
Severely damaged but not yet destroyed.
To kind of pick it up.
And the machine spirit still works.
James can do that now. Boom, we've got a Land Raider.
What
we really
the hell?
A lot of those kind of on-map interactions back into the game that have been something we used to have in previous Total Wars, right? In Med 2, you could build a watchtower or something with your army and it would appear there. And we're bringing back a lot of that kind of stuff as well. So
cool. So I love that there are interactions now on the map.
Building little artillery bastions that will automatically shoot at anyone who enters their zone of influence. They can build a Death Strike missile launcher that can be used to fire missiles to the other side of the planet. Trench networks and that kind of thing. So there's all kinds of fun little bits and bobs that will now appear on the map you can interact with in a really kind of nice, visual, tangible way.
Are you looking to end turn, Bedson? Go for it. You did spark a thought, and then I saw a message in chat that grabbed my head. So someone was saying it looks like there's not as many options, and that is because there is a lot of the campaign elements have been stripped out of this for this demo.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, so a lot of systems that you would find in the full game, so like the full building trees, the full fleet upgrade trees, the full tech tree, they're not visible here, but they are there. The tech trees, for example, because the tech trees extend over the course of the entire Crusade Theatre experience, right? They are big. I know a lot of people have been looking at the new Nagash Black Pyramid tech tree that we had into Warhammer 3. That is just wait until you see the Orc tech tree.
Yeah.
It's full like, chaotic, massive sprawling stuff. So there's going to be lots of options.
That's
Depending on who you're
cool.
playing as, you'll have those options in different places. Like Space Marines aren't really big on building so much on planets, but they do have this whole fleet upgrade system, which is unique to them. So they will have a very kind of
Interesting. So they really try to make the different factions now unique. I hope that works out.
So someone was asking about diplomacy as an example.
So diplomacy is an interesting one, right? Because
Right.
the tagline is "There is only war" in the grimdark future of the first millennium. So we are not going to be seeing things like Space Marines sitting down with Orcs to negotiate a peace treaty where they're trading like a jade chicken in return for the settlement of Liuyang and all that. It's much more tactical in its focus. And much more kind of contextual, right? So even though you might never formally make peace with the Orcs, there might be scenarios where both of you are happening to fight the same person who might be even more evil from the Orcs. In those cases,
I am very curious to see how this works in multiplayer.
Temporarily reinforce each other, even though you're still at war with each other. So for the course of that battle, you won't be fighting each other, but once you're back in the campaign,
Interesting.
we've also got a lot of kind of nice tactical options for Space Marines when they interact with Ashmanotarum, for example, or planetary governors. Really nice crunchy things like, as a Space Marine, you can walk up to like a planetary militia unit, army, and say, "Follow me."
Yep.
And they will follow you.
That's
like
cool.
not in their turn, in your turn, they will follow you around, and when you fight a battle, they'll join you in. So you have these kind of really cool tactical options that allow you to manipulate status quo that are using diplomacy.
Yep.
Sorry, go on.
Oh no, you go.
Yeah. Another example here is the governors. You can see in the bottom left.
That's actually what I was just about to ask.
There we go. I knew it. So every planet will have like a slightly quirky governor character who's kind of in charge of that planet. Like all factions, so all factions will react to things you do in the world. So everyone has an attitude towards you. But governors in particular are a little bit capricious, and they don't tend to like it when you mess around on their planet. But they've all got different personalities, right? So you might find a governor who really loves industry. Like he loves his trains, for example. So if you go on his planet and you start bombing all of his trains and his industrial factories, he's going to get really pissed off at you, and he's not going to want to support you, and he's not going to give you access to some diplomatic actions that you would have with that governor. However, you might have a governor who's a complete psychopath, and he actually loves it when you kill anyone, even his own citizens on his planet. So when you're blowing up his factories, he might be like, "Hey, cool, I love that." So there's
explosions! We need more explosions!
Weird storytelling with the governors, where it's a kind of another version of diplomacy, but in line with how this IP works.
So it seems like you are, at least as a Space Marine, you are not really interacting
There probably won't be anything in there.
with
Not
the
anything yet, but when you do things that is going to
so
plus
this
with the
tracks
governor.
the kind of things that you've done, right?
with
So
the
it's
planet
kind of
governors.
It's got a fun game of like
You're
working
not
out
really
what governors
running
do
the
and don't like.
planet.
We also have these edicts, which are you working with more kind of continent level
Mhm.
authorities.
So
to
they're
get
just
things
calling
done.
them thieves.
We've actually recently changed all the continent things, so these are a bit old. But they would be things like, for example, making sure that all the workers are working extra overtime.
Yep.
And if they refuse, then they go to become servitors or whatever. So you have a little bit more kind of political control, but that's going to be spending that influence resource, which kind of governs your ability to manipulate other things as well.
Interesting.
If you want to be doing that kind of thing, you need to be keeping the governor happy. You need to be doing things that are diplomatic.
Someone started a question with Mr. Jake, but I think they're talking to you. They're asking just for, as a recap then, what is it like to start a campaign?
It will depend a lot on what campaign you're starting. But that's one of the great things about having these multiple different... Oh, I guess Crusade Theatre,
Yeah.
I guess is the question. So if we think about trying Crusade Theatre, which is that campaign of campaigns, you would have a campaign which you start in. Every faction has a starting campaign, and you just go straight into that. So this is... Something like this is very much like the first thing you would see after choosing your faction or building your custom faction. You go straight into your first campaign. When you finish that, that's when you kind of zoom out to the Crusade Theatre layer, and you'll effectively see like a sort of node map of all these different star systems connected by like space lanes and stuff. And then it's up to you like which order you proceed through those on your journey towards Armageddon.
I will have a follow-up question for you on that. But before I see that, I see a lot of people asking about.
So you're not just jumping
other
between
features of
theaters.
stuff like co-op campaign, multiplayer battles. We're not going to talk about those at the moment, but we will talk about those. There's still a lot of tech being worked out in the background. We will come back and we will have those discussions. I don't want you to feel like we're ignoring you. I do see it. We just don't have anything at the moment to be able to give solid information about the infrastructure and systems there.
Okay. But they will be in the game, and that's important to me.
So if Benson was already moving in the right direction, it's what he knew.
Oh, Imperium.
So one of the things about the Space Marines, right, that's really interesting about the IP story about them is that while they are like the heroes of the Imperium in some ways, everyone is also absolutely terrified of them. Am I allowed to swear on this stream?
If you say it, I can't stop you. So.
Okay, I was going to say, well, everyone's shit scared of them because of a little thing that happened 10,000 years ago called the Horus Heresy.
Yep.
So you are
interesting.
Well, how long have we got?
Horus Heresy, not important. Nothing happened there. Move on.
Between this tension between like I am here to kill Xenos and save the Imperium, but also this like sclerotic, awful nightmare bureaucracy that is the Imperium might not be giving me the resources that I actually need to do that. But if I do the things to get those resources, like administer territory, some Inquisitor back on Terra, he's going to get a little pissy, a little bit nervous about me building empires and stuff. So you're constantly juggling this concept of suspicion, which is something you'll generate when you do things that are a little bit naughty, like holding.
So what happens when you reach like a full bar? Is the game over?
You're meant to do, right? When you kill Xenos good. So if you're, but the more famous you become and the more renowned you become, the more eyes are on you. So you might be, the best Space Marine guy in the world who's done all these victories, but as many chapters have encountered throughout their history, that just means that the Inquisition are more suspicious of you because they're more worried that you might do something wrong.
Yep.
So we're really keen to explore that kind of tension at the heart of the Imperium. Right? Like the Imperium
That's
are
cool.
not good. They're not the good guys. Right, like this is the nightmare regime that you're working for, and you're really having to kind of balance.
It's really sad that they have to mention that still.
There might be cases where the morally correct thing to do,
but I understand.
might be seen as deeply
Looking at the
suspicious.
words sometimes.
So there'll be all kinds of kind of fun scenarios to kind of come from that.
It depends on if they were suspicious civilians, I guess.
Well, who says they're suspicious, right?
The question I had for you was the move to a theatre system, and so campaigns contained within the theatre. What is it that's solving?
Two things really. So we have seen. I think most people who play Total War will realise is that the best part of any Total War campaign is the first 20-30 turns, right? I think that's almost universally accepted, right? Because that's where it's a bit more of a curated experience. You're not snowballing, and we really wanted to find a way to make the game feel big and sprawling and interconnected, and support like multiple successive campaigns, without having to make that into one like just big never-ending thing, right? But it's imagine it's like people we see this all the time in Warhammer. Right? People go and they play 100 Carl Franz campaigns, and the dream of this is like every Carl Franz campaign you play like isn't just thrown away at the end, right? It feeds into your next Carl Franz campaign, so it feels like it's all part of like a big ongoing journey.
Yeah. So I guess the equivalent is you play a Carl Franz campaign, and the first campaign is you're in the old world, right? And then you finished it. Well done, you've conquered the old world. And then instead of that kind of ending there, or that being your experience, when you start the next Carl Franz campaign, you're not in the old world again. You're in the new world, or in Lustria, right?
Yeah.
So it's you're taking that army and you're an invading force somewhere else.
Yes, and you get that nice reset, which helps keep the difficulty curve in place.
And it also helps you to actually get around a lot.
Varied, right? Because these planets and these systems will be very different, with different objectives, different enemies to fight. So it allows us to kind of have this long-going narrative where you might play, 600 turns across Crusade Theatre. But we can kind of keep it fresh, keep injecting new stuff, keep the gameplay engaging without it kind of getting run out of control. So it's a really exciting way to kind of, I think, capture.
But that means we have only one theater at the beginning, and that's the War for Armageddon.
Old now. I like to be able to complete a campaign in an afternoon, right? And this allows me to do that with a smaller campaign, for example, but still not feel like that is kind of wasted or thrown away when I'm done with that.
To scoop up a couple of little things that people have grabbed from me from chat. Questions about resizing the UI. I believe there will be a lot of kind of those accessibility and rescaling options. Not in this demo. The point of it is it's kind of plug and play, but that's something that we'd look into. How big is this planet relative to other planets?
So it depends what you mean by big. In terms of like actual physical size of the orb, I think this is like a medium-sized planet, so it's not the biggest one we have. In terms of actual number of regions on it, it's very stripped back.
Yep.
Like I said, I think the average planet, a large planet, would have around 3 continents on it. Each of those would have about 5 to 7 regions. A region is split into about 5-ish districts.
Yep.
So you're talking about I can't do the maths, but like there's quite a lot bigger than what you see here in terms of actual kind of gameplay content and factions and all of that stuff.
I have just looked at the time. We are at 3:30, and we have so much to go through.
God, okay.
So a little bit of a speed run on resources. What resources am I using here as Space Marines?
So Space Marines, your core resources are requisition, and that's what you would use to recruit new units, to upkeep new units, to build buildings, to build fleet upgrades, and influence,
money,
which is a kind of your local political resource that you would use to
just money.
Like I said, get the governor to do things.
Just because we call it something different, it's just money.
Allied units from a friend national Mataran faction, that kind of stuff. So those are kind of faction level ones. But there's resources everywhere in this game, right? Like James, if you
there's
select
the influence,
region, you'll see that this region has 17 billion people in it. So that's the population of the region. So we are actually modelling, like each region has a population count. That will go up and down. If you bombard it, they'll die. If you blow up the planet, they'll all die.
What?
And that in turn will feed into the amount of resource that produces for you.
Did you just bombard that region?
I haven't actually checked whether the UI updates now. You might have to click off it and try again. Okay. No.
Oh, they were in their bunkers.
They were. But
it will update. That's really cool. Then so we've spoken about population edicts, Space Marine mechanics, resources, governor interactions, events on the regions, unit recruitment. Units don't need a general.
Oh yeah. We thought mentioned it. This is another case of us kind of going back to our sort of past in some ways and trying to pull the best of
Oh.
Yeah, you can freely split your armies, you can merge your armies. And that works really nicely with this like slightly coarser movement set, because you can do things like, if you've got a choke point that's slightly too wide, right, you just take an army and you split in half, and they reinforce each other. You can defend both points, right? You don't have to try and like awkwardly position the zones.
It's like Age of Wonders in that regard.
So in a lot of ways, even though there's less places to stand, there's actually, I think, a lot more interesting tactical decisions that you're making, which I think is really important.
And it helps the AI to interact with those systems, right? Okay.
I wonder how powerful that is.
Campaign things to say, and then we'll go into the second battle.
In Age of Wonders, it's a bit annoying.
About victory conditions.
So they will be quite campaign specific. So depending on the campaign,
because you always like have your main army with your general in it, and then you have like 3 armies which are following around,
guard commander,
or
you might be
2 more armies because you can only field 3 armies in the battle.
Campaign and to the faction as well, right? Eldari are not going to be pursuing the same goals. Eldari goals are often weird and not comprehensible to mortal beings. So you'll see a lot of variety in what you're trying to achieve in each individual campaign, and even planet to planet there'll be a lot of variety.
But as always, the goal of them is there's a kind of general objective for you to be able to do it. I believe you can continue beyond that if you want to take off the whole system.
They're quite broad, the objectives, right? Like it's not handholdy. It's totally up to you to decide how you want to achieve that goal. And we're going to support all kinds of, when you combine traits and tech trees and all of that, there's going to be many, many different ways you can approach these problems.
Fantastic. Detachment composition effects.
Oh yeah, this is a little one. This is an idea we nicked from our colleagues over on Warhammer DLC from the Gorfang Rockgut DLC. You get nice little effect. Basically, depending on who's in your detachment, you will get passive effects that do different things. So one of my favourite ones is that if you're playing as one of the orc features is you run around and you collect scrap piles. And if you have you have a Gretchen unit, and Gretchen are generally a terrible unit, they're not very good in battle. But if you have a few of them in your army now has some Gretchen who they can send to pick up scrap. So as you go collect scrap, you collect so your choice.
That makes it really good, because that means you could actually boost.
So sometimes it will be an ability, right, that you unlock.
Weaker units because of that.
You will unlock by having
like a lot of units you would kind of forego
element of how you combine your armies
in the end game or later game because they're just weaker, but they have some cool talents.
Oh, sorry, who was it? What's his name?
Is it the orc?
Yeah, the orc guy.
Which one?
The most recent orc one.
From Omens.
Oh, Gorbad Ironclaw. That's his name. Yeah, sorry.
There was no. We're not making up a new orc. I'm confirming that as a DLC. Fantastic. So we've got detachable compositions.
The whole orc faction is like.
So we will have tactical skills.
Yeah, that's a cool idea because again, Gretchen.
Those won't be visible in this build.
Who the hell takes a Gretchen with them?
There's a little less focus on characters.
Or with their perk?
Some previous from Warhammer. So these aren't going to be skill trees where you have like 30 different skills, where you have incremental skill points. There's a lot more kind of chunky binary choices. There's also a really cool thing that we've got in. So we brought back the concept of followers, which again is something we had in the previous game, like Medieval. But these are not just like a UI icon that you put on your character. If you have a flash gate follower as an orc and you put him in your warlord's bodyguard, he's going to be there in battle.
Oh, that's
cool. If you have a chaplain and you put them in your chapter master's bodyguard, he's going to be there in battle. So these followers are things you can collect, but you'll actually see them in the bodyguard of your character.
And that's been really important from the dynamic cutscenes
That
and
is
from
so
you saying,
freaking
events
cool.
on the map. It is about.
I wonder if
when
they're
you've
actually
done something,
bringing
added
something
someone
to
your
the
squad, It's
battle.
about seeing that reflected, right?
It's not just a game about menus and numbers, right? It's about real things that happen in the world space.
We have two more things, and then we will let Bedson play this battle. Unit specialization and upgrades.
Yes, so Big Club Tabletop is how you kit out your units. Space Marines in particular have a lot of different options. They have Autobot, Stalkerbot rifles, and again, not in this build, but you will be able to, on a per unit basis, customize exactly what weapons that they have.
Yep.
And those will unlock based on their experience levels. And then as they get more experience, you might even be able to upgrade into a whole new unit type, right? So you might be able to take your regular intercessor, they get really skilled, they can become a Stern Guard veteran, and then they'll have even more kind of cool weapon options, right? So you have really fine nitty-gritty control of exactly how all of it
Love that.
My favorite is the Death Dread, because you can
Very
choose
much
how
what they
many missiles
did
and guns
in
and
Total
stuff.
Warhammer, right?
So
With
there's all kinds
the
of cool stuff you can do.
the
Okay,
Chaos
the last question we
Warriors
have is,
/
are there different
North
planet
Stars.
regions?
Yes, so each of these kind of regions, that's the larger group of districts that you can see here, has a kind of a theme and a purpose to it. One thing that's really important about this IP is that it's not, a lot of the infrastructure here has been here for 10,000 years, right? No one is turning up and building a new hive city. The hive city is there. So you'll see, for example, there's a Voidcraft Disruptor network here. That has its own unique building tree that you would only find in that kind of region.
Yep.
And you can't just build that anywhere. Right, so you kind of turn up there. You have to
Interesting.
deal with this kind of.
But yeah, lore-wise, that makes sense, right? The Imperium is not
Cool. We're going to
building.
the battle. There may be some more campaign
It's
stuff we pick up, but we have 2 working nights
maintaining.
now, hopefully. So we're.
And
should
even the
be, we can
maintaining
all
is a
talk at
stretch.
once. There was a question of what factions there will be at launch.
So we have our 4 playable factions. Which is,
I love that we see the map now in the middle.
and Ashmatar. Each of those will have 2 playable sub-factions, which are like an authored lore faction. So they'll come with their own special traits, their own special characters, etc. But for each of those, you'll also be able to build, many, many thousands of combinations of custom factions as well.
I think we see that more often.
Has our capture card gone down? Oh, let me put us on main camera. Oh no, it's rebooted itself. Hold on, we're back. Thank you, Will. I will say I've been having a blast customizing the factions.
This is probably one of the things that we'll do, is having a lot of. There's your Space Marine, right? But they will add a lot of DLCs with just under factions to flesh them out.
Be like, I'm cool, I'm going to make my pink Marines called the Space Bears or whatever. So yeah, we really want to support both options, right? Customization is huge, but we do know, especially from the.
I hope it's the capture card, which is having a problem
really
here.
Support both options.
Because...
And you can see there in the, I think our capture card is just about recovered. You can see in there the custom faction in that was their colours. That was Bedson's colours that you chosen in that cutscene. And there's we got that Land Raider we rescued.
That's the Land Raider.
Damn! Look at
And a lot of
that
other
beauty.
tanks. He's
Look
clearly
at
trying
that
to
box.
match
He
most
has-
of the match
Yeah,
tank
we saw it
numbers.
today.
Oh yeah, he was busy while we were talking.
This is an absolutely devastating amount of firepower.
He wants to make sure he really doesn't lose this battle. Okay.
Didn't you say
feel
we
free to
wanted
get
to
started.
play this fair?
So one of the burning questions is we have a Land Raider in there, but people have spotted there's no such thing as a transport capacity yet.
Yeah.
Is there a transport ability?
Not for release. It's definitely something that we're keen to look into.
Oh.
So we'll see.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I've seen some of the discussions about it. We know it's something that people would see and they definitely want. My understanding is the discussion is to make sure the technology to do it right is there. That's why that decision's been made, rather than rushing in with a system that kind of would half work. We want to do something that actually
Fair
feels
enough.
good for transport,
Especially with the
and
previous.
There's also the secondary
creative
part, which,
assembly stuff.
any feature that we do, we want to ensure that the AI can also use it correctly.
Oh, that would be
transports are
nice.
Such a
Yeah.
central mechanic for how you can operate.
Because
on the
that's missing in a
battlefield.
lot
What
of
are your
previous
tactical
games.
choices?
So
where they're adding a lot of new
if we
stuff
do
and
transport, we wanna
DLCs,
ensure
and
that
the AI is just derping out on it, is not using it. It's really unfortunate.
And certainly, like, say if your favorite faction happens to be heavily reliant on transports, I think you can probably suspect that we would have them in the game before that happened.
Yeah. And in
That
the meantime,
neon
like
green
Unistar
man,
transports, we're trying to ensure that they're also relevant combat units.
Yep.
Which they often are. And like, you know, the transports you've
What are
seen
they
are
fighting
generally
against?
a bit more combat capable as well.
Oh.
And we do have things like drop pods, and I think some
Imperial
units are
Guard?
by Valkyries.
I think it was Imperial Guard what it just saw.
So you will see kind of transport light.
Yeah, that's Imperial Guard. Yeah. Oh, that's a lot of orcs now.
So some things people have seen there. We spoke in the last stream about the Astra Militarum's in-battle abilities. The Space Marines have their own. Bedson, if you're willing to mouse over them.
Yes, so we have three doctrines. So you have the tactical doctrine, which basically gives you a burst of speed, bit of accuracy. Main reason for this is basically if you need to move, for example, if you need to strafe away
Oh, there's
from
a Psyker.
an incoming horde.
That's
get
a
to key
Psyker.
position
I thought it
fast,
was maybe
it's
a
good for that.
chaplain.
Yep.
But
And
that's a
you can basically activate
Psyker with the book.
in an area to gain that bonus where you most need it. Devastator basically maximizes your firepower, helps you punch through armor.
Yeah, screw the Imperial Guard.
Really kind of help your gun line punch through where it's needed. And finally, you've got the Assault Doctrine, which is like, you know, when you need some good melee output, it's there for you. So
Again, kind of mimicking the tabletop,
yeah,
right?
like if you have your Terminators punching somewhere or your Assault Intercessors, you know, go for Assault. It's gonna help you shine.
Yeah. And again, the reason that Bedson has these unlocked is because he's built a balanced army with, you know, some shooting units, some melee units, and that's how you get access to these various
There goes the Psyker.
You can see the Orc Milkshake in action as well. It's traveling in a slightly...
They really hated that building.
Yeah, it really hates that building. And
That
it's got the
building will
wars
not
that
fight
will chip
back.
away. But, you know, well aimed. This Vortex is incredibly powerful.
So that was an ability from the Librarian.
Yes.
Our favourite.
Sorry,
And one thing-
Librarian,
that's one thing
not
we didn't have in the
Psyker.
Astra Militarum battle. Bedson, if you're able to click the Librarian.
Potato, potato.
And that is abilities. Did you find them in the battlefield instead of the cards? Well done. That is them having their own abilities outside of just Space Marine abilities, right? There are unit abilities.
Yeah, we try to keep unit abilities quite minimal.
Oh, good.
Like,
Good.
Because in the end, like, we want to focus on the action, and we kind of want to ensure that the game it's more about tactics than just like micromanaging every ability that you have, or, you know, say hit the combat buff button to give you 20% more attack for this unit, and then wait on a cooldown.
There was a question there of why were there Imperial Guard in the middle of the battlefield when we started it?
So basically, we have ambient
Because
units,
they're
which are, like,
stupid.
units- there's constant war on these planets, and like, you know, there's always going to be local forces already kind of joining in on the fight. It just really helps kind of set the mood and set the
You better
scene
crash
for
through that train.
vast conflicts.
Yeah. And it helps get the scale as well, right? Like, even when your army of Space Marines might not be like
Yes.
tons and tons
Good.
of entities, you know, any battle you're fighting, there's going to be like a few hundred Astra Militarum.
Oh Lord, he's coming. He's coming.
Yeah. And here we see one of the kind of cool abilities of like really heavy vehicles like Bane Blades, Land Raiders, or Stompa, where there are certain buildings that they can just smash through.
Yep. And the Bedson's setting up a perfect ambush there.
Yeah, he's gonna
just kind of Kool-Aiding his way through all the buildings.
Yeah.
So one of the things we didn't get to talk about last time, which was very shooting focused, was melee combat. We did have a lot of questions about it though. So
I mean, the Imperial Guard
give
is
us a
not
little
really
bit of a
known
breakdown
for
how
their
melee
heavy
combat works here.
melee.
Maybe in how it's different to other Total War
fighters.
titles, or what's been improved.
So, kind of like, again, the key part that we've kind of focused on is like, how do we sell the fantasy? How do we
They were the
make
beacons.
melee combat kind of look like it belongs in the world? Like some of the key area that we've really looked into is just the fluidity of combat. So like how frequently do entities attack, for example? Like you can't do a Space Marine where every 4 seconds a Space Marine will attack.
Yep.
That just doesn't sell the fantasy. So
Interesting.
we've kind of gone, well, Space Marine should probably try to attack as frequently as possible. And that's kind of the approach we've taken with them. So there are times where Space Marine will take a break from attacking, but that might just be a break to shoot.
To get the pistol ready.
Yeah. or just like to find a new thing to punch. And we basically spend quite a bit of time just kind of trying to figure out like how do entities make movement decisions.
Yeah, that thing has no fun here.
How can they maneuver to get to
No
do what
fun
they need
allowed.
to do? Yeah. So for example, like Space Marines, if they start getting kind of surrounded, they'll try to kind of huddle up together towards like kind of forming this fighting circle, where basically they're kind of protecting each other's backs. Space Marines can be flanked. They generally they take less of a debuff if they get basically flanked.
Oh, interesting.
They're armored more around it. I think they just have better awareness to begin with, and they're pretty much always surrounded.
They're used to it.
Yeah, and then for example, we have other entities. We kind of have like this threat system running underneath, or in the melee combat itself, where entities will basically try to like figure out, well, is this thing threatening to me?
Yep.
So for example, like a Space Marine might not stand back from an Orc boy, but they might stand back from a Stompa.
Oh yeah.
And in the same way, like a trooper, like a Astromil trooper might not be. Well,
they're not going to step back from.
Well, they're gonna probably not Gretchen. Yeah. But they, for example, like boys, will be more threatening towards a trooper.
Yeah.
And they'll, try to like they don't want to withdraw from combat.
Yeah.
Like it's their place. They know what they want to do.
I think it's a capture card.
Trooper might, or like a boy might step away from Space Marine and be like, okay, actually, this is still a bit scary. Like I'm Gretchen, I want to punch them, but this Space Marine just keeps killing my friends.
I just got distracted by Benson performing the most egregious act of
overkill. Really dislike that one, Orc. All right, fantastic.
Damn,
We can end that
look
there.
at the difference. They
I will
deployed
say the,
117
well, obviously we
against
asked
like
about
over
organisation.
1,000
Genuinely, that is our capture
orcs.
card dying in the background there. It's been going for a few years.
Just slaughtered them all.
Right, we're going to load back. I think we've got one more battle that we can play through, but we'll play through that battle and we'll just take some questions. So there's nothing more for us. So we'll see if there's stuff that people can bring up, and that hopefully we'll be able to answer. So if you guys have questions based on anything you've heard, so we've got campaign to talk about, we've got battle to talk about.
I have still so many questions about the
Otherwise,
campaign.
even if there are things we've already answered, we can go back over if needed. But otherwise, we will have Bedson whiz through this final battle, and then we will start to wrap things up.
Perfect. And then we can take a look at some
your
of the
favourite
uncard
factions in Warhammer 40,000
footage.
I'm an
And I can stop a little bit
really?
in between.
my little robots guitar. I have an army downstairs. I was very sad we weren't put in the first game, but never say never.
Yeah, for me it's Astromil Tarm.
Yes.
You're very happy then.
More of the, well, not quite. My army is Deathcore, so still waiting.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see in this battle that in the first battle Benson was fighting, his librarian was in Tacticus armor. This time he's in Terminator armor, so he's a lot more of a chunky lad.
Yes, very
I played
beefy.
this battle with my colleague Dave in the past. We've started calling him Dumble War.
Oh yeah.
Or occasionally Gundalf. We can't decide which we prefer because he's a battle wizard. But yeah, we really want to
That's
get very
fantastic.
attached to these characters,
I
right?
approve.
Like, you're going to see him go from a little Tacticus armored. I don't say nobody because he can blow you up with his brain.
Yeah.
But from a junior to someone who wears a whole solid ton of Ceramite armor.
Oh, those are far less
They
units.
can die. Yes. So apart from your faction leader, every character can die permanently.
Interesting.
They have a wound system, which means they'll be a little bit resilient. They have to kill them a few times. And of course, for Space Marines, it wouldn't be Space Marines if you couldn't take the mushed up, almost corpse of a Space Marine and shove it in a big metal tin can and send it back into battle as a dreadnought. So there will be a little mechanic where even if your character has died, they might continue to serve the Emperor in a slightly chonkier form.
And when that dreadnought's blown up, we'll put that in a bigger dreadnought.
Yes.
Yes.
It'll be like one of those Russian nesting dolls by the end.
It sounds about right, what I heard about Space Marines.
Androids as well, right? We're treating them almost like characters as well.
Mhm.
Like these are super rare, super powerful, ancient creations that are really valuable. So yeah, I think while you probably can theoretically get a 20 stack of dreadnoughts at some point very, very late in the theatre, like that's not something we'll want to be make easy, or something you'll see as very commonplace, right? Even a 20 stack of Space Marines in total, right, is actually quite a rare sight.
So I will ask you that question in a second, because someone was asking, will all factions
So
have
quality over
a,
quantity,
a
which I
level of
kind of like.
customization? And yes, they will. What was the last thing you said?
Dreadnoughts? 20 stacks of dreadnoughts?
There we go. So I saw, I think it was a conversation on Reddit of how are we stopping doom stacking in this? You know, what will stop me from just getting 20 dreadnoughts turn 10?
Yeah, so a lot of it will be just how we regulate the economy, and you know the dreadnoughts, for example, like to actually get a dreadnought, you have to there's a capacity limit on them, which you have to kind of upgrade over time, and also like certain units, for example, will primarily only be available via upgrades from other units, right? So you kind of
We are doing that now. That's cool. I like that. I always thought they should have built on the Chaos Warriors in Total Warhammer.
Make them into a veteran, upgrade them again. So they feel like really valuable over time. Obviously, other factions won't have so many problems getting units. You know, it's you actually probably end up with more Gretchen than you really want in Orc campaign. But they
makes sense. Sounds like orcs, yeah. More Gretchen than you can ever want.
Fantastic. There's questions there about sync kills, if sync kills made a return.
Yeah, I mean they are there in small portions.
I remember we had quite an in-depth discussion on one of our streams about the difficulties of sync kills when it comes to then balancing factions, of like the length of a sync kill and how invulnerable they are during that time. So I think this is about trying to find a balance between the cinematic and having reliable units where if you ask them to pull back, they're not stuck in a 10-second animation.
Yeah, and it's very much about, like, again, for us, sync kills are a way of selling connection.
Yeah.
But use them too much, they become very repetitive, unless you build like a huge pool of sync kills, which is incredibly expensive. So, you know, I think we have a lot of faith in, like, we can sell most of the connection just to doing asynchronous combat really well.
There's more coming?
There's good reactions. There's a feeling of impact. And that's like our main focus, because like asynchronous combat plays better for the game that we're trying to make. But there is a place for, like, you know, the spectacle of a sync kill.
It's finding that balance. And I think there was a discussion of, like, is it ragdolling, I guess, when they're killed? Of, like, it's more physics-based responses to things. I mean, we saw it in the Land Raider kind of veering on one side as it was going over an obstacle, right? That wasn't an animation, that was a dynamic response.
So that would be like the physics-based impulses that, for example, vehicles have.
Yeah.
We don't use ragdolling for basically knocked flying of infantry, for example.
Yep.
That is still kind of more of a game logic-driven, like, speed calculation or velocity calculation of, like, they're going in this direction, they're going to lose this amount of speed due to air resistance.
So a much fancier thing than me just saying ragdolling.
Well, ragdolling is a very specific technological term.
I feel like I've treaded on a landmine with that word.
If you
Trademarked by Microsoft.
Like, that's not canned, right? That's kind of all a bit sort of dynamic. And yeah, the vehicle tech stuff is really cool. Like if you take a
was it Microsoft?
speed with a Land Raider, it'll get rid of air.
Pretty sure it was
like
Microsoft.
When a Bane fires a cannon,
just like in tabletop,
you know, it kind of rocks back and stuff, and a lot of that is actually physics driven rather than.
That's really cool.
And again, with the destruction of the buildings as well, right? Like a lot of that is all of the buildings.
This looks great. I want to play this.
Physics, right? And that creates these kind of really cool emergent situations. So the orcs have a unit, the Storm Boy, which is an orc with a big rocket strapped to his back, and it's not the most reliable unit in the world for obvious reasons. So sometimes when it dies, it will just go flying off in random directions. And it can crash into a building. And that building can then fall over and land on some other Storm Boys who can then explode and then fly into something else. So it really allows these kind of really cool emergent storytelling moments to be super exciting.
Oh, this is very important for Bedson that this goes off. Because he's getting relatively overwhelmed. So this is quite an important strike. Oh, there we go. Has that saved you?
The question is, do you still have reinforcements?
He has a few. And you don't have any?
No.
He's got one.
The trump card.
The laser.
Will the AI be playing differently, I guess, on battle for different factions like Eldari?
Yes, there's definitely a goal. Like, you know, they'll approach the battle differently. They'll use different formations. Obviously, like, the units that you have play a big part also in the decision making that you're gonna do. Like the orcs here are generally mostly melee units.
Yeah.
Their army is very melee focused. It makes sense for them to try to combat you. But obviously, like something like an Eldari will take a very
He will
different
lose
approach
this.
to combat.
I think Bedson's trying to offensively use some of his drop pods now, which is a fantastic way to use them.
Yeah, he should.
Oh, he's teleported in.
Nope,
I mean,
teleport.
that's still a fine move because, you know, those Terminators in that combat, there's nothing to really hurt them, so...
I think I just saw a Stormboy flying off there.
Rest in peace, Space Bears, someone said. It's alright, the Space Bears was
Yeah,
successful
he's not
back
winning
in,
this.
not Ultramarines.
He's losing this.
Yeah, you know, so long as you kill enough orcs as you die, it's fine. You know?
Yeah.
That's your job, to live and die for the Emperor.
There is a question of, is it the intent that the custom faction will be represented on the unit cards?
In some way, yes. I think we're still trying to work out exactly how we do that. Yeah.
They have not figured that out yet.
And on the kind of AI point, similarly, we definitely want those personalities to come across from the campaign as well. So if you're fighting against, say, a sort of a bad moon-themed
Ow, he might turn this around.
Daka, right? They will be recruiting lots of flash kits, they'll be recruiting lots of shooter boys, whereas if you're fighting against kind of a...
He might actually turn this around, thanks to his Terminators.
Kill source and stuff. So you should see very different army compositions based on his personalities, which again keeps the game varied, keeps it feeling alive and exciting.
Fantastic. I got a bit lost watching it there and forgetting that also I was meant to be grabbing questions for you. Would there be any chance that if you made a custom faction, you would end up facing them in your own campaign as a different faction? I'm really throwing questions at you now that I don't know the answer to, so good luck.
So I'm not sure where we've settled on this, but there is some stuff that we were trying to do. With
He turned this around.
Friends, custom factions into your campaigns.
That's the problem. I don't really know, like, orcs from a lore perspective wise too much. I know the basics. They're good to kill. But I definitely don't know them in
It does look like Bedson stabilized it.
It's not in this build, but we've had some tech put in recently where if you drive a tank across those corpses, they'll kind of...
say, it's kind of crazy how often he can teleport around on the battlefield.
Well done.
Wow.
Fantastic. I was going to call out at the start that we all call him different things, James or Bedson, but it's not a term of you know, hierarchy. It's because we've known him for 9 years. Awesome. Then I think that is our last battle. Well done, Bedson, for prevailing. Space Bears prevail, as the chat say. Perfectly planned to look close. Fantastic. Then
I mean, that's what the Space Marines are doing, right?
Here.
Cutting it close.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed a bit more of an exploration around some of the intent that we have for our campaign, both within and without the build. So talking about some of the stuff that you'll be able to see perhaps in closed beta if you're lucky enough to get in, or beyond that to launch. But we will have news on closed beta soon for those of you who are looking for it.
Probably after Gamescom.
And you can expect Total War Warhammer 40,000 to be coming out in 2027.
I assume that
there
the closed beta will happen
Gamescom,
in
you're
October.
probably not watching the stream, but go give it a go and let us know what you think. But if you haven't signed up for the closed beta, absolutely worth doing that as well. But thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to our fabulous guests. May not be the last we see of you guys. It is annoying that we ended up swapping seats. So thank you, Will, and thank you, Oscar, for joining us. We will...
Well, that was awesome. We would definitely jump into some uncut footage and then have a look at some of the more campaign details. But that will be at a different video, not this one. So for all the people who are watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate that. And as always, if you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like. And also, if you want to see more of Total War, Warhammer 40K, and of course strategy games in general, you came to the right place. And I would appreciate if you might subscribe. But with that said, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe. All right. So that was that. You are not done yet, if you're watching this live. No. Because we have to go to... Well, first of all, let me throw something in here very quickly before I forget about this again. Let me just see. Do I have to do anything in regards of that? Fantastic. All right. Let's watch a little bit. Let's jump into... We've seen that before. Some footage, which is the uncut footage. This is by Cody Bonds. Yes. Let's have a look at that. So I want to see more campaign stuff and all. So let's have a look. At the more uncut footage without developers' commentary. If you have not seen it, we have just watched the Alpha Strike stream with the developers where they're going in depth in a lot of the mechanics, and I want to take a look at some of the mechanics they have presented. If you want to watch the previous one, it's on my channel as a live stream and as a video. And this one is, well, the next video. So, I want to jump a little bit ahead. This is the tutorial stuff, which looks cool. Keep in mind that there are apparently some graphical issues in this build. So if you were seeing something weird with the graphics, this is just a bug. They will fix that. So this is the beginning of the campaign. Unfortunately, yeah, you cannot play any of the others. But it is nice that they tried. Like that. So this is where you're choosing basically your chapter, and you can completely create one from scratch, or you can already choose one of the available ones, right? Like if you want to play the Ultramarines, then go for it. But I want to take a look at the... Oh yeah, also one of the things before we are jumping into the campaign, before I forget about that. So this is the create your faction stuff with colors, emblems, and all that. Now, this is not much. This is a slice of it. And there will be so much more in the full game. The reason why it is not in the Gamescom build is pretty simple, because people are only allowed to play for, what was it, 20 minutes? Because, you know, there's a line other people want to play, yada, 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 yada. So, and they realize the moment they are putting everything into the build, people just sometimes sit here for like 20 to 40 minutes, and most of the people were just creating their Space Marine chapter instead of playing the build, and they were like, you know what? Maybe we should shrink it down. And yeah, I understand. But again, tons of choices here already, but there will be so much more. I hope there is a little bit more details and what you can do with the different layers and colors. Right now, it's again very minimalistic, but I wanna see more. So let's jump into the campaign map here, and that is right here. So what we do know is finally, I can pause here for a second. Yay! Finally, we know what all this means in the top left corner. So the left one is basically money. It's just being called something completely different all the time. But that is money. And as it seems, the orcs are producing teeth as their money resource, kind of as I expected. And you're just generating that. And then you have also your influence. That's the second number you see on the left side, right? That's influence. And you can use the influence to go to one of the governors on the planet, like War Pontiff, Marcus, the, what is it, 26th? There we go. And you can just say, okay, click on edicts. I wonder if they are actually showing that. This is the building menu. Let me see if they are showing the edict system here. No, unfortunately not here. But basically you can go to the edicts and then say, make me more money. Raise some troops and defend your freaking planet, god damn it, and so on and so forth, right? You can tell them what to do, but that will cost you influence. Depending on how much they like you, you will also generate influence with the governor of this planet. And yes, the governors will look different. They will have different traits. And depending on the traits, they will like what you do or don't like what you do. What does that mean? Well, let's say you have a governor who is very much focused on industrial production. And you are destroying now a lot, and I mean a lot of their stuff, which is very important for production. Then they would go, bro, what the hell? You were supposed to help me here and not destroy me. So they will start to hate you. You will lose influence, yada, 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 yada. Right, another resource, we will see if they are showcasing that, but let's have a look first at the building. So again, Space Marines, I don't really know for building, right? They are not building empires. That's just not what Space Marines do. But what you will be able to do is you have like different capitals and districts, and then you can choose to actually improve them. Now, you are not building cities, right? They are all just there from the beginning. And depending on what type of city it is, or what type of outpost, or whatever, right? It doesn't have to be a city. You will have unique buildings and unique things to do, which you can only do there. So let's say you need some orbital cannons. You can only build that in your main city, but you would not be able to build that in a smaller farm city or something like that. And then we have like the upgrades. This is where you can hire your infantry, right? We have already seen that. Oh yeah, let's talk about the campaign system. So it seems like they have done some bigger changes to how you will play a campaign. So when you are playing a big campaign, which is the War for Armageddon, which is like the main thing, or at least is the main thing at the beginning of the game. They will probably add more over time, as it sounds. And you are starting out in a system with multiple planets, and you are trying to conquer it all or to achieve certain missions. So you have certain goals which will change, and you have to achieve them. When you have done that, you're done with the campaign, so to speak, and then you are moving on to the next one. And you can decide in which system you want to go. Which, kind of interesting how they are doing. And then in the end, you will reach Armageddon and hopefully do the big fight for Armageddon. I personally don't know how I feel about that. I think I kind of hope that Immortal Empires showed them that people just love to have a gigantic map and just like to conquer. I know it's a lot of like brainless stuff, right? It's just like, oh, you're conquering the world, oh, how exciting. But a lot of people like to do that. They have tried to do a campaign system, in particular in Total War, Warhammer 3, with the Chaos campaign. Kind of tried that, or the Realm of Chaos, and it never really fully worked out. Like, people were okay with it, but they did not necessarily like it that much. So I'm really curious how people will accept the campaign in the campaign system. Let's see if they're actually showing a little bit more here. Okay, there's the mission objective they have to conquer. Yeah, they're showing again what they can build here. Oh yeah, Space Marines and what they will do. Well, as I said, Space Marines are not really the builders. They're not really trying to build an empire. And I find that so interesting. So this is something I talked about in my video I did a week ago. Like, how much will the different races or factions be actually different? Right? Like Space Marines, they don't really build. And more importantly, they don't necessarily build empires. What was that of the Ultramarines? But that's beyond the point. Like, they are very mobile. And that's what they are trying to do here in this game, right? They try to depict Space Marines who are very mobile. So you don't really have like a main capital, main planet. You do have a fleet, right? Your main fleet. And that's what you use to fly around. You upgrade it, you build on it. Well, upgrade it, build on it, but upgrade it. And you are sending that fleet around. And then on the planet, you will be able to do some upgrades again to the already available cities. I mean, do I like that system? I am very curious to see what the other factions are offering. It's really tough to compare that when you don't really know how the other factions are handling this whole situation. Now, I think it does make sense for the Space Marines. That's also what you were seeing in the top left corner, right? This particular area here is for renown and suspicion. So basically what it means is if your suspicion is higher than your renown, you are getting into trouble. Right? The Inquisition is basically coming knocking and it's like, hey, what are you doing exactly here? Like, that's a lot of armies you are amassing, and you are building like your own little empire inside the Imperium. Like, you are definitely doing things here we don't like too much. They didn't go into detail on what that exactly means, but I hope the repercussions will be severe. I really do. I hope it's not just a slap on the wrist, like, oh, you were super suspicious. You were basically this close to heresy. But you know what? You were just getting 100 space bucks less next round. I don't think that's very interesting. So I'm really curious how the system will look like in a long campaign. But that sounds awesome. I like that because it's very thematic for the Space Marines. Right. Let's have a look at... Oh, yeah! Why haven't I mentioned that? Why haven't I talked about this awesome feature they are now doing? So, we are going back to the old Total War games. And I mean, Shogun, Medieval 1. If you have never played those games, which I totally understand, don't. They are slightly outdated here. The old campaign map was basically 2D chess on a big world map. So what that meant was every turn, you could move your armies, your spies, your diplomats, and so on and so forth, your units. You could move them 1 or 2 spaces on the map. So you had to be, excuse me, you had to be very careful in where you sent your units, but it also was very clear in where your units will end up. And more importantly, you know what the enemy will do because they had the same limitations as you. and they didn't have this 3D movement. And I know that they implemented this 3D movement where you had like a lot of action points just to make it feel more like other 4X games and make it also feel a little bit more tactical, right? They wanted to add more depth to the movement on the campaign map. But I will be honest, it never felt like it did. And it actually added more confusion. Like, just play any of the Total War games. Play one of the Total War Warhammer games. And you will have those moments where you are literally a pixel away from the coordinates, from an enemy army, from a city you wanted to siege, and it was driving you crazy. The same goes with the enemy, where you thought, and not just thought, you checked on it by clicking on the enemy army, and you were like, yeah, I'm far away. They're not getting me. And then they're getting you. And it's like, what is happening here? How did they got this army? They were not in range. And it led to a lot of confusion. Not anymore. Now you have 2 action points, right? And that means you can just move 2 regions. Which 2 regions that are? Oh, that's up to you. And I think that's the right way. I think that's the good thing. Oh, and also speaking about suspicion, mentioned that earlier. Somebody is now a little bit suspicious, huh? But yeah, also like that you can, let me see, this will be the battle, right? And then that's that. Yeah, okay, I wanted to go a little bit back on the campaign map because I wanted to show something. Let me show you that at the... Yes. Let me show you that at the beginning. So this is a pretty good moment for that. You can see this with a question mark. Those are interactables. This is a Land Rider in particular, and you can actually fix the Land Rider. And then the Raider? What the hell? You can fix the Land Raider, and then you can actually add the Land Raider to your army. But they want to do this not just for units. They want to have a lot of interactables you can just go to, and then something will happen. You will have to make decisions what that something is and how it will play out, and it might actually give you some benefits or not. But it depends, huh? And I think that's cool. They really vitalize the strategy map, because the strategy map has been, I think especially in the Warhammer games, it's basically devolved to just a army movement map where you will choose your next battle. And I want it to be more. And I think this is like the right way to do it. And I hope there will be a lot of events. Like, yes, no, do I want this to be like Age of Wonders or something like that? No, of course not. But I want it to be interesting. Quality over quantity in the end, right? But that's such a cool addition. But yeah, this was basically what they have showed us when it comes to the campaign map. Looked really good. And I liked all of that. They also showed us a little bit more in the battles, but the battles are very much from what we have seen. Space Marines seem to be very, very powerful. It will be very tough for people to understand how, like, their orc army of 2,000 orcs just lost against 200 space marines. But that's basically what's happening. And I'm really curious to see how the auto battles will function later on. We've only seen a few auto battles, but they have all been more or less scripted, right? The game is telling you, like, yeah, there's an auto battle. And auto battles are really something I fear a bit. Because in the other Total War games, and especially Total Warhammer, auto battles could be such a bullshit. And I mean, it goes for both ways, where you kind of think, oh, wow, how did I win this? Okay, I take it. And then there are moments where you are losing like half your army and you are like, oh, what happened here? And then you were doing the battle just yourself and you didn't even lose a single unit. It's like, oh, that's bizarre. So again, I hope they are also showing us a little bit more about that in the future. They did very, very briefly talk about online features, but it was more like a, they're there, we will talk about them when the time comes. Right. So that's at least something. But yeah, I think I will make a shorter video down the road to do like a quick recap about what they talked about and the release date and all that. But I wanted to take a little bit of a closer look to some of the features they have just showcased. But with that said, we're at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, if you enjoyed it, please don't forget to hit the like button or whatever the platform this is on is supporting. And the same goes, of course, with if you enjoy this, don't forget to subscribe and all that. Yes. Now, with that said, stay safe. I'll see you next time. Right! But also with that said, this is the actual end of the live stream. We have actually gone for quite some bit. And I will prepare now more videos and all that. And I will see if I will stream tomorrow. And I will actually do some stuff. But that really depends on how much we are still getting from Gamescom. So, yeah. I might take another day off from the normal stream and do more Gamescom. But again, that depends. I will keep you posted. But with that said, folks, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe. I'll run some ads at the end, as per usual. They don't interfere. And then I see you very soon. See you then. Ching!